am incredibly excited to welcome you to Dallas Area Habitat for Humanity's 2023 Down Payment Assistance Expo. Welcome. This is the third year that we have hosted this event, and each year it continues to grow in size and grow in scope. And this year we are honored to host 10 of our fantastic community partners who, like us at Dallas Habitat, are fully committed to making homeownership more accessible and more affordable. My name is Blaine Cower, and I have the tremendous privilege of leading Dallas Habitat's Homeownership Center. On behalf of our entire team, I'd like to thank you for joining us here today. At Dallas Habitat, we believe that everyone deserves a safe, a beautiful, and most importantly, an affordable place to call home. If you're joining us here today and you're wondering whether homeownership might be within reach for you, I want to assure you, you are in the right place. You have found your village. So welcome. We hope that the wealth of information that we're going to share today during the event will help empower you to take the first step towards realizing your dream of homeownership. I also want to acknowledge that an event of this scale and of this size would be impossible without the generous support of our incredible sponsors. We are so beyond grateful for our sponsors and our partners who have stepped up to make today's event possible, and also are doing their part to connect buyers throughout our community with these important resources. So we want to thank our 2023 presenting sponsors, Bank of America and Prosperity Home Mortgage. Thank you all so much for your incredible support, as well as our supporting sponsors, First Horizon Bank and First United Bank. Thank you all so much. Now, I want to share a little bit about the why we've created this event and why we know that this event is so incredibly important. For first-time home buyers, the number one obstacle to homeownership remains saving for a down payment. And while we definitely need to debunk this myth that you need 20% down, which you quite certainly do not. So if you take nothing away from today's event, no, you do not need to save 20% down for a down payment. Still, for many first-time home buyers, even saving 5 to 7% for closing costs and for a down payment can put homeownership quite certainly out of reach. The great news is that down payment assistance programs are widely available. In fact, there are actually over 2,000 programs available nationwide. And even just here at home in North Texas, we have over a dozen fantastic programs available to buyers throughout our community. And I will say, not just first-time buyers as well. Yet many home buyers have no idea that these programs may be available. And even if we do, we may not know whether we might be eligible for these programs. I'll share that a recent survey conducted by NeighborWorks America found that less than half of non-homeowners were aware of homebuyer education resources and down payment assistance programs within their own communities. Today's Down Payment Assistance Expo is designed to help us overcome this very obstacle, the obstacle of simply being aware and knowing what programs are out there, how much money is available, and how to get started. And lastly, we would be incredibly remiss as we wrap up our celebration of Black History Month to not acknowledge the importance of down payment assistance programs for communities of color who have historically been locked out of home ownership across the US. Home ownership, we know at Dallas Habitat, continues to be the number one way to build wealth in America, the number one way. And so for this reason, down payment assistance programs serve not only to make homeownership more affordable, but also are an incredibly important tool when it comes to helping to shrink the racial wealth gap. And we are all about that at Dallas Habitat. Before I bring on our first speaker, I want to encourage you, keep our chat box lively today. We do not want this to be a one-way dialogue, y'all. We want to hear from you throughout today's presentation. We know you have questions. We hope you have questions, and we will do our very best to get through as many of those questions as possible. In fact, at the end of today's event, we will host a live question and answer session with all of our experts who are bringing on and sharing today with you all. So be sure to stick around until the end of the event so you can get your questions answered by our panelists. Without further ado, it is my tremendous pleasure to welcome our very first speaker of the day, and a very special one of our own at Dallas Habitat. our senior home ownership counselor, Aretha Higgins. Aretha is joining us this morning to share more about Dallas Habitat's own DPA program. Welcome, Aretha.
Hi, Blaine. Good morning, everyone. Can you all see me? I'm not sure, so I want you all to tell me yeah or nay, okay? Great. So this morning, you all are going to get a wealth of information, not only from Dallas Habitat, but from lots of partners. And as Blaine was stating, we know, because we do this every day, we counsel every day, and we know that this is the biggest hurdle to home ownership, our clients having down payment assistance. So we are here to make sure you all get the information that you need. And we are so appreciative of you all taking the time, because it's Saturday morning. We know you all could be doing a lot more things, but you all have decided to join us today. And for that, we thank you. Also, if you all do not have pen and paper, I want you all to go grab it, run, and come back so you can hear my presentation, and then the people behind me, because again, lots of great information. So make sure you're taking notes, because this information is so very important, and it's something that is needed. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into my session right here, okay? So let's talk about Dallas Habitat and how Dallas Habitat supports first-time home buyers. First and foremost, we do that through home ownership counseling. As a HUD housing counselor, when you come to our program, you're going to get that one-on-one personalized coaching that's going to help prepare you for home ownership. And this is so critical, because a lot of people think, okay, I can just go out there and buy a house. But home ownership counseling should be your very first step. When buyers meet with a HUD certified counselor, we're going to identify those obstacles to home ownership. And most people do have them. So what we're going to do, we're going to help you develop and attain financial goals, and we're going to assist you with becoming mortgage ready. And we're going to do that in a lot of ways. First and foremost, we're going to create an action plan that's steered just for you. Everybody's action plan is totally different, because everybody's situation is different. So you're going to get that action plan. Then we're going to create a budget, because you need to learn how to budget before you move into that new home, right? So we're going to create a budget for you, and we're going to do this together. We're a team, okay? So this is together. We're also going to do home buyer and financial education, because our goal at Dallas Habitat is not just to get you into a home, it's to make sure that you can stay in that home. So home buyer education is so critical. And counseling, we can help you, whether you're choosing to buy with Dallas Habitat or whether you want to buy on the open market. Our goal is just to make sure you're ready to get pre-approved with a mortgage lender. And you can't get past counseling. Counseling is a prerequisite for buying a Habitat home. So this is the first step to making sure that you're able to purchase. We're also an affordable home ownership program. Dallas Habitat, we build about 30 homes per year. And you have to meet certain qualifications criteria in order to be able to purchase these homes. It's affordable financing, and then we also provide down payment assistance. And Habitat homeowners, it's been proven, they just maintain long-term housing affordability. We try to make sure that is the goal, to make sure throughout the life of the loan, your housing is affordable. So who qualifies for Habitat's financial assistance? To qualify for Dallas Habitat's financial assistance, buyers must complete home ownership counseling and become mortgage ready. So everything that we lay out on an action plan for you, that must be completed before we can deem you mortgage ready and get you over to either our in-house lender or get you ready for the open market, where you may decide to go and see if you can get pre-qualified with your lender, or you might have another bank that you want to try out. We have several partner lenders who are actually you're going to hear from today that we can refer you to. And when I say mortgage ready, what that means, we want to make sure that you can demonstrate that you have stable income. You have enough income to be able to afford a mortgage. We want to make sure your credit history is good with a score of 620 or higher. and at least $3,000 saved for upfront costs with Dallas Area Habitat, and you must complete pre-purchase education. That is a requirement, okay? Education is a requirement of our program. You also must earn less than 80% of the area median income. Now, this does not say that if you're over 80% of the area median income, that we cannot assist you. We can definitely counsel you and make sure you're ready to buy on the open market. If you're over 80% of the area median income, that means that you are not able to purchase a Dallas Habitat home. But hey, we get emails from different lenders and builders all the time with affordable inventory. So if we're not able to assist you financially with purchasing a home, guess what? We're going to connect you with the right people that can. In order to purchase with us, you must meet Habitat's loan qualification criteria. We do have underwriting criteria required for pre-approval, and you must be able to afford the available inventory. Again, you can choose to buy a Dallas Habitat home, or you may say, well, Ms. Aretha, I'd like to try and see if I'm able to purchase on the open market. And that's fine. I am happy for you just knowing that you're able to purchase a home, as well as all the other counselors at Dallas Habitat. 80% AMI income limits. We have some, the box down below. So for example, if you're a family size of one, if it's just you and your household, in order for you not to go over that 80% AMI limit, these are current AMI income limits, you should not be making any more than $55,544. $55,544. That's the max, okay? If you make more than that, you're going to go over the 80% AMI. But again, that's not a big deal because we're preparing you to purchase with Dallas Habitat or be able to purchase on the open market. That's what counseling is. So types of financial assistance. For those who qualify for Dallas Habitat provides 0% interest rate mortgage for 30 years. Now, you're not going to go anywhere else and get that 0% interest rate. This is how we make our home, buying a home, affordable for our community, 0% interest rate. We're also going to provide up to $8,000 in down payment assistance. No additional financial down payment required, but you are required to do sweat equity. Okay, sweat equity is just you taking the time out to build on your own home. Okay, and people love that when they get out there with their family and their friends and they're building on their home. This is a great accomplishment for them when they do move into their new home, to say, hey, I helped put the walls up on this new house. So this is how we help you. You also have in-house closing cost assistance that we provide. But again, you do have some finances that you will have to bring to the table, which is why we said that at minimum, you have to have that $3,000. With Dallas Habitat, you are able to stack other approved funding sources, such as FHLB and HELP. These are some funding programs that our lender will go out and apply for on your behalf. Okay, nothing that you need to do. Now, you'll have to probably provide some additional documentation for them, but they will present the packet to these different programs for you. On average, Dallas Habitat mortgage payments range anywhere from $850 to $1,200 a month. That's including taxes, property taxes, and homeowners insurance. That's awesome, you all. $850 to $1,200 a month. And I know a lot of you are paying much more than that just in rent, okay? So additional support. Did you know that Dallas Habitat can help connect you with DPA programs, even if you don't buy a Habitat home? We would love for you to buy a Habitat house, but at the end of the day, we are just so happy that you became a homeowner, and we're going to celebrate that with you. So there are other programs. If you don't have $20,000 saved up, don't stress over that. Yes, you need to be saving, but you don't have to have all of that saved up, because there are programs out there that you're getting ready to hear about, okay? Our homeownership counselors, we're unbiased, and we're your housing advocates. We will just do everything in our power to make sure you are taken care of as you go through this home ownership journey. We are your best advocate. Our team is well versed in all the programs featured today, and we can help connect you with trusted, affordable loan products. Everybody that we work with, all of our partners have been vetted by us. You're going to work with several home buying professionals, and you're going to get access to different assistance programs, whether you choose to buy a Habitat home or choose to purchase on the open market. Some of our resources, you can do this if you're on here right now and you say, well, I'm getting all this information, but I know there are some things that I need to take care of. That's fine. Guess what? We have the education for you. You have the pre-screen tool. This is to see if you're even a good fit for our program, because there is a fee for our program. So when you complete this pre-screen tool, it's going to let you know if you're a good fit for Dallas Habitat. And we have the link provided. So make sure you're writing that down. Home buyer and financial education. Again, if you decide I'm not ready to purchase right now, but I want to know the steps that I need to take, I want to educate myself. I want to be a savvy, educated consumer about the home buying process. Most of our classes are free. All of them are online. So you can sit in the privacy of your own home and get educated about the home buying process. And this is the website that you would go to, dallasareahabitat.org/education. And then we also have PocketWise. PocketWise is our free online platform of financial tools and resources. And we have topics on there about so many things outside of homeownership: how to save for your child's college, how to navigate, getting the best auto loan or personal loan, just many different topics. And all of these topics range anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. So write down this link too as well, because again, to make sure that you're getting the best deal about financial things and learning and being savvy about finances, you need to be educated. Do what you can to learn about this. And this is our link to go and register for PocketWise. Education. I cannot stress it enough. I stress that enough. Dallas Habitat services and programs are digital first. Again, 100% online, sitting in the privacy of your own home in your little comfy house shoes, all of that, getting educated about finances. So I thank you all for taking the time again to listen to my presentation, to learn about Dallas Habitat and how we can assist you with affordable home buying. Reach out to us. I'm sure my peers have put all the information in the chat. We're here for you.
Aretha, thank you so much. We have tons and tons of questions that have come through the chat that we are working diligently in the chat box to get answered. So if you have questions, even if we haven't answered them so far, we promise we see them all. Send them in and we'll continue to get those answered for you. We know you have a lot of questions about the Dallas Habitat program. That's why many of you all are here today. So please be sure to reach out to us even after today's event. Our team will drop in different ways that you can get a hold of us through email, giving us a call, stopping by our office, and certainly on our website as well. So as we transition onto a different subject, I am so excited to welcome our next presenter. I see him already on camera as well, Mr. Alejandro Rodriguez with Bank of America. Alejandro is the community lending officer with Bank of America and a very long-standing, wonderful partner of Dallas Habitat's program. You all heard Aretha talk earlier about the fact that when buyers come through Dallas Habitat's counseling program, you are not obligated. You are not obligated to buy a Dallas Habitat home. And in fact, that may or may not be the best option for you. Our goal is to help you get to home ownership in the way that works best for you and your family. One of those pathways to home ownership might be to work with our counseling team and working with one of our preferred lenders as part of our preferred lender network. Alejandro is on our preferred lender network. And the reason is he has some phenomenal programs and products that make home ownership more affordable and more accessible. So I will stop talking so we can bring him up. Alejandro, good morning. So happy to have you.
Good morning. Alejandro Rodriguez with Bank of America. My license number NMLS 621644. I'm a community lending officer for Bank of America in our DeSoto Financial Center off of Pleasant Run and 35. If anybody ever wants to stop by and visit us, we are there. But thank you all for being here this morning. And it's critical, it is important for you all to educate yourself on this subject. It is one of the biggest financial expenses we make on our lives. So of course, we want to get as much knowledge, as much information as we can. As Aretha mentioned earlier, knowledge is king. So follow it and absorb it like a sponge. But again, we are here today specifically speaking about the Down Payment Expo. So we'll go over a couple of programs, a few things that Bank of America has available to be able to help individuals become homeowners. I do want to start off by talking about Bank of America's Community Homeownership Commitment. It's a program that we started roughly around 4 to 5 years ago. And really the initiative was to help individuals become homeowners by enabling, by helping out on the down payment part, on relaxing credit guidelines, ultimately making it easier for individuals to own their home. Our plan, our project was initially started with $5 billion. That's B with a as in boy, $1 billion that we had available to be able to help these individuals in different programs, down payment assistance. Our initial goal was to help at least 20,000 families or individuals become first-time home buyers or homeowners. Now, what ended up happening, granted, this is during COVID and all the other crazy things that were going on. Within 2 years, this was a 5-year program, a 5-year project that we projected to. And within 2 years, we used up the majority of the $5 billion, which was cool. I myself was scared because I'm like, well, what are we going to do next? But what Bank of America ended up finding out is that there's an appetite for assistance. And in addition to that, we made the $5 billion to $15 billion commitment to be able to enable and help more families. We moved from trying to help 20,000 families or individuals up to 60,000 or more families or individuals become homeowners. So as of right now, we're still going strong. We still have quite a bit of programs that we're actually in development on to be able to help individuals. Now, again, to the conversation and to the topic, we're here for a down payment expo. So we're focusing on down payment. But I think it is critical for us to be aware and understand what lenders look at typically whenever we're attempting to help an individual. So there's 3 things that typically lenders are going to focus on. 3 things. Number 1 is going to be credit. Typically, the majority of all lenders will review your credit. We're looking at credit scores. We're looking at credit history, overall behavior, because that will let us know the interest rates and the loan programs that we as lenders will have the ability of offering. Again, we're not talking about credit today, but it is critical for us to be able to mention it to understand the impact of the programs that are out there. The second thing that typically we're going to talk about in review is going to be income. 1, credit, number 2, income, because income, again, we don't have much control of it, but ultimately income is what will let us know how much money we have the ability of lending, right? And the third thing, which is the reason that we're here today, is the down payment. Once we talk about credit, once we talk about income, we'll find out how much money an individual will need to be able to move forward. Now, before I go on the conversation, again, backstory is critical. Typically, an individual, without the assistance of anybody, from the lender, from the sellers, or from any down payment assistance provider, is looking at needing anywhere from around 7 to 8% on the low end of the entire purchase price out of their pocket to be able to purchase a home, right? So again, I haven't spoken about anything specifically that Bank of America is offering now. I'm trying to paint a picture. Right now in our market, if you purchase a home, average price about $250,000, $300,000. Without the help of no one, that 7 to 8% comes out to be roughly around, out of your pocket, $16,000 to about $20,000, depending upon the program that you're working with. That is without the help of no one, realistically, if you're looking out there in the market. So the whole aspect of the community home ownership commitment that Bank of America has is specifically to be able to help individuals on those 3 things: credit, on the income part, on how much we have the ability of lending, and finally assets, the amount of monies that we have the ability of lending. Now, I've been with Bank of America going on 20 years now. The majority of the time that I've been with Bank of America has been as a loan officer, but I did spend time inside of the financial center at one point as a teller. So I saw balances all day long. And inside of the bank, inside of the balances, I did have the ability of helping individuals by directing them training them. But at the end of the day, it was easy for folks to be able to have under $10,000 in their savings. It's more realistic. Tax season comes around. Some folks get pretty large deposits. So having some funds available is realistic. Now, the $17,000, $18,000 that I mentioned earlier, that's not something so easy for a lot of folks to be able to obtain, right? So again, I haven't spoken about anything specifically about Bank of America. I'm just trying to paint a picture as to what is typically needed. So I say this now because now moving forward as to what Bank of America is offering is that we know that within those three things that I mentioned, credit, income, and assets, we have the ability of helping, but where we really shine and where the other folks here presenting today will shine is the down payment part. The part where we have the ability of helping individuals close the gap from those $18,000, $17,000 that are needed to be able to bring in most of the time under $5,000, $4,000 out of your pocket to be able to move forward. How are we doing this? Bank of America's community homeownership commitment will help us out. So we've developed a few programs that will be able to help individuals move forward with lesser money, lesser criteria, and become homeowners. One of the ways that we have the ability of doing that is by our affordable loan solutions program. This is a conventional loan that Bank of America has. What we've done, conventional typically requires anywhere from 5%, potentially up to 20% normally as a down payment. This particular conventional loan program gives us the ability of moving forward with as little as 3% down towards the down payment. You have the ability of receiving gifts to cover down the down payment, which typically on conventional loans is not allowed. And you have the ability of using grants and other down payment assistance programs. So that's unique to a conventional loan. Other partners will offer it. Other competitors will offer it as well, since we realize that assistance is needed out there. The way that we are helping individuals cover some of the funds that are needed to be able to close the deal is through a couple of grant programs that Bank of America has. One of them is called America's Home Grant. This program gives us the ability of helping individuals with up to $7,500 towards their closing costs. So that typically means that any fees that the lender charges you, any fees that third parties charge you, such as the appraisal companies, title companies, we have up to $7,500 that we could use to be able to pay for those fees. Now, what's really cool, I mentioned a purchase price earlier of $250,000. $300,000. We're purchasing a home around that value. We're probably going to need around $5,000 to $6,000 in fees in cash to cover the fees. But if we use this program up to $7,500, we should be able to cover the majority of the fees. And what's cool is that if we have any leftover monies, we'll have the ability of potentially being able to purchase a lower interest rate for you by purchasing discount points. So again, we have America's Home Grant up to $7,500 toward non-recurring closing costs. That's one program. We have another program here internally through Bank of America that's called Down Payment Grant, Bank of America's Down Payment Grant. This program gives us the ability of helping individuals with 3% down towards the purchase price up to $10,000. So this is a down payment grant again. The thing about this program is that it's only available on the affordable loan solutions. If you're tying everything together, I mentioned earlier, this program requires 3% down. However, we use the grant program. In essence, we're covering that 3% down payment that's required. It's not a 0% down payment program, but in essence, because of the fact that we're covering, there's no down payment on the client side. Now, if the individual wants to give a bigger down payment, certainly you have the ability of giving a bigger down payment. We have the ability, aside from using these programs that Bank of America offers, we have a affordable housing portal that individuals, that clients have the ability of logging into. From there, you'll be able to see specifically based upon certain information, income levels, based upon where the individual is purchasing at, you should be able to see other programs that are offered out there, down payment assistance programs that are not Bank of America, but that we have the ability of using together combined with the Bank of America program. In addition to that, one of the biggest things that we are aware of, aside from helping the individuals out, the other thing is education. So we have partnerships with a couple of hosts, and one of the best ones, if not the best one, in my opinion, out there, Habitat for Humanity, is they connect to home partners of ours. Ultimately, what we want to do is that we want to educate our clients as much as we can regarding the purchasing process, right? Because realistically, we do have programs now that we've come out with that don't have minimum credit scores, that give us the ability of lending more money based upon the income. We even have a program that gives us the ability of doing 0% down. So there's things out there, but ultimately, the better set the client is, the individual is, the better the credit score, the bigger the down payment. Typically, overall, as an expense, it'll be a lot less than going in with very little out of the pocket. Now, sometimes that's the case, that's the situation, and that's what we'll run with. But ultimately, the best thing that you could do as a buyer is position yourself on that credit part and on the down payment part in order for you to be able to get a better deal whenever you do move forward with the purchase of the home. Now, we have the ability of stacking these items together. So we have the ability of using our America's Home grant alongside with our down payment grant to be able to reduce drastically the amount of funds that an individual needs. A lot of programs Bank of America has. These programs that I spoke about just a few moments ago, America's Home grant, down payment grant, they've been available for a couple of years. And typically, whenever we make a purchase, I mentioned earlier, I keep stating when we're looking at purchasing a home, around 7 to 8% of the money out of our pocket is what we need. I remember about 2 years ago when I did my first loan with the program, an individual went through and purchased a home, and we got to closing, and we were at closing. They gave us what's called the final closing disclosure, which basically spells out everything of everything. What's the payment? What's the interest rate? And how much money an individual needs to bring out of their pocket at the end of closing. So when the title company sent this out to me, it actually had cash back to the client. And I've never, in the 14 years that I've been a loan officer, I have never, ever seen cash back to an individual. So I stopped before I called my client, let them know, hey, this is how much money you're going to receive. Instead of needing, contacted the title company, contacted my underwriter to say, hey, something is wrong here. This individual is getting cash back. This shouldn't be the case. And the thing is that was the case. The individual gave a pretty big amount of earnest money down. And with the assistance that Bank of America was able to offer, ultimately, when the math was done, he gave more money than what was needed. So at the end of the day, we were actually refunding at closing monies to the individual just because of the fact that we were able to use and substantially reduce the amount of funds that the individual needed. Now, it's going to be a case-by-case scenario. There's another program that Bank of America came through that has 0% down. Even though there's no down payment required, we'll still help the individual with up to $10,000 toward the down payment. Then talk about this program. This new program gives us the ability of helping individuals, even if they don't have a credit score, or if there is no credit score requirement. So there's still things in development through Bank of America that we do have available to be able to help individuals reduce the amount of funds that are drastically needed. When it comes to the income part, we have the ability of lending a little bit more based upon the individual's income. And the other thing that I mentioned, credit. Credit is another thing that folks sometimes have difficulties with. Aside from the money that's needed to cover the down payment and the closing costs, there's programs out there that we have that do not require credit scores. Again, just wanted to give you some of the information that we have out there. I think it is critical that you write down notes, take as much information as you can that we share with you all. Work with Habitat for Humanity, work with the counselor, because ultimately they will be the best guides when it comes to purchasing a home. We as lenders will help you, but the reality is that we move quick. We move very quickly. Our conversations are quick, a lot of the times to the point. Whereas if you work with a counselor, the majority of the times that you do work with a counselor, they'll be able to, I don't want to use this terminology, but walk with you, holding hands down the same path. Whereas if you work with the other individuals, that might not necessarily be the case. That's what I have, folks. Alejandro Rodriguez from Bank of America. Thank you all for your time. Certainly, if you have questions, drop them down in the chat, and I'll try to answer them as they come. Thank you, Blaine. Thank you, Habitat.
Alejandro, thank you. Those are incredible programs. I need you to know that chat is blowing up with questions, rightfully so. I want to call a couple of things out that we're going to dig into in the Q&A session at 1 o'clock as well with Alejandro and our other participants. But for our attendees, don't sleep on this. If you are taking notes, make sure you write this down. These grants that Bank of America has are phenomenal. These are great, incredible amounts of money that are available in our marketplace. As you heard Alejandro say, they have put $15 billion behind this with a B. That is a lot of money. So there's plenty of money to go around for all, everyone here today that might be interested in taking advantage of these programs. But we want to remind you, as Alejandro mentioned, these programs can be used in conjunction, both internally. So the two different programs that Bank of America offers themselves can be combined for up to, over 17,000 in assistance, plus, as he mentioned, can be used with other programs. And so we're going to talk about some of these other programs later on in the program today. Stick around to learn about those programs to see if they might also be a good fit for you. And then, as I mentioned, at 1 o'clock, we're going to bring everyone back on to talk a little bit more about how these programs can be used in conjunction. If you have questions for Alejandro, please reach out for us through the chat box. We'll make sure that we get to those. Our team is also dropping in Alejandro's contact information. So if you want to learn more about these programs, please reach out. That is the purpose of today's event. Alejandro, thanks again for being here. We're so thankful for your partnership. Okay, y'all, we're going to keep moving. Awesome programs that we're talking about today. Our next presenter is another member of our preferred lender network, another longstanding partner of our program. Fantastic community member, champion for affordable housing, and partner with Dallas Habitat. His name is Daniel Garcia. Daniel is the Vice President and Senior Mortgage Banker of CRA Lending at First Horizon Bank, one of the supporters of today's program. Daniel, with his background not only in lending for first-time buyers, but also in housing counseling, very importantly, is definitely the right kind of person to speak about some of these products and programs that we're talking about today. So I could not be more excited to welcome our next speaker up for you all, Daniel Garcia. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you guys for allowing me, First Horizon Bank, to be a part of today's session. Great information that Alejandro shared, man. I'm kind of nervous going after him. Got a lot of good stuff to offer to everybody to kind of show what is being done in the market as far as making homeownership affordable to everyone. And I think you'll agree that everyone's goal here today is to make not only homeownership sustainable, but affordable to you. That tends to be the issue when we run into talking to clients is just not having enough funds to cover, total down payment, closing costs, things like that. And of course, myth busting the 20% requirement that you have to be able to buy a home. But we're going to show you some things that First Horizon has available to make homeownership affordable to you. So we've got quite a few programs available. Give me 1 second here. So, we've got grants, some in-house grant programs. We've got our homebuyer grant, first responder grants, some diversity grants. We'll talk about what those programs are here shortly. That would, help you guys to be able to cover some of this down payment and closing costs as well. We have a portfolio loan, our First Horizon Bank's Home Start Mortgage. We'll talk about what that is, how it can really, really affect you, some really exciting things with that program here. And then, of course, we offer some, secondary mortgage programs that are specific to first-time home buyers, low to moderate income buyers, through Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. We've all heard of those entities as well. So those are some of the things that we do offer with some of the programs that we have available here. So the first thing I want to talk about is our homebuyer grant. So First Horizon Bank has a homebuyer grant, which offers up to $10,000 in closing cost assistance to be able to help you get into a home. So this grant in particular is available in Collin, Denton, and Dallas counties. You do have to use one of our programs to be able to utilize this. There's a couple of caveats to this program. So your income has to be $70,652 or less. Now, quick side note on that. We're probably going to be increasing that limit here shortly. So, stay tuned for that. But the income has to be less. Typically, it's 80% of the area median income for that particular census tract. And then, or if you make more than that, and this is what's great about this program, if you're over that income limit, then you're restricted to buying in a low to moderate income census tract. Now, we use a special site, a website that I think most of the banks that have these type of products, and Bank of America uses it as well, the FFIEC.gov, the geocoding mapping system. this is the website, a public website that basically manages all the census data. So what it does is it tells us what type of income tract is for any particular address that you put in there, as well as the income. So that's the thing that we use. So this is an amazing program. We have a lot of people that take advantage of this. It's a home buyer grant, like I said, up to $10,000, which is amazing, I think. The next program I want to talk about is our diversity grant. So again, this program is available in Denton, Dallas, and Collin counties as well. You do have to utilize it with one of First Horizon's programs that we'll talk about here shortly. Now, the difference about this program compared to the home buyer grant is that there's a higher income limit. So your higher your income has to be less than 120% of the area median income, and the home has to be located in a majority minority census tract per the FFIEC.gov. So what this does is it allows you to be able to take advantage of down payment assistance and not be restricted to a low to moderate income census tract. So if you go find a home that's not in a low to moderate income census tract, then as long as there's 51% more of minorities living in that particular census tract, then you can still take advantage of this down payment assistance. It's a great thing there. So one of my favorite grants is our first responder grant. And, just think about that. When you think about first responder, kind of think about who you think what a first responder is, and then we'll discuss that here shortly. So to utilize this grant, it's up to $12,000 to cover closing costs. The home buyer has to be a first responder per First Horizon Bank's guidelines. Keep that in mind. Again, this program is available in Denton, Dallas, and Collin County. You can only use it with one of our 3 mortgage products that we use. We do have an income limit, just like the home buyer grant, or the home is located in a low to moderate income census tract. But here's where we're going to talk about what exactly we consider a first responder. So typically the first responder are, policemen, firemen, EMT, nurses. We take it a step further. We include educators as first responders. So let's take the first one. The first responder is an active duty employee of a police department, sheriff department, correctional officer, firefighter, U.S. military. We know those are first responders, right? Then we talk about educators. So we're including educators in this. Active employees of state accredited schools, state schools, county schools. Then we go a step further. Medical workers, healthcare workers, active employees of hospitals, pharmacies, medical offices, dental offices. These are all considered first responders per our definition. Now, here's how we take it a step further. So notice each one says active employee. So let's take the educators, for instance. So when we think of educator, okay, a teacher, right? Well, what's great about these programs is it says active employees of state accredited schools, state schools, counties. So any employee of of a school. So we've helped people who work in the cafeteria, who are janitors. Let's talk about the medical healthcare worker, active employees. So if you're a receptionist at a dental clinic, or CNA, or maybe you do something facilities wise. But if you work with these type of entities, you are considered a first responder per First Horizon's definition. So you can see how wide range of people that this can help, right? So it's not just those who are doing the actual first responder type work. It's the support people, the ones who are behind helping those individuals as well. So active employees of these entities, these places as well, are considered first responders in our opinion. So you can take advantage of $12,000 to be able to go towards your closing costs. So let's talk about the mortgage programs we have available. Let's see how much time I got. Oh, got a little bit of time. All right. So let's talk about some of the mortgage programs we have available. Pretty exciting stuff here. Of course, we mentioned Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's home rate and home possible mortgages. Amazing Mortgages, we'll talk about a little bit of what those are. And then First Horizon Bank's Home Start Mortgage. This is a portfolio mortgage that First Horizon Bank developed specific to low to moderate income buyers or families who are purchasing in a majority minority census tract. So several things to remember about this program. And this is one of my favorite things about this program. So notice that first bullet, the highlighted there, up to 100% LTV loan to value with the minimum credit score of 620. So what that means is minimum credit 620, right? 100% loan to value, that means it's 100% financing. So no down payment required. So it's 100% financing, no down payment required for this particular program. No private mortgage insurance. I'm sure you are aware of PMI or MIP, whatever you've heard it from. This mortgage does not have this private mortgage insurance. So that's another savings of $150, $200 a month easily. Borrowers have to be in a low to moderate income, so they have to be at that income level or less, or financing a primary residence in a low to moderate income census tract, or buying in a majority minority census tract. This loan is, of course, underwritten per Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines. Even though it's written by their guidelines, we do maintain this program within house. So we keep this loan. We don't sell it off. You get this mortgage with us. You're a First Horizon family customer for the life of the loan. What's great about this is we can use alternative non-traditional credit. First-time homebuyers are required to take a homebuyer education class. What it says, subordinate financing allowed. That means you can have other down payment assistance tied in with this program as well. The last bullet here, it says minimum cash injection from borrower, $500. So the reason why we put that, obviously we want you to have some skin in the game, but because you can use any one of these other programs with this particular 100% financing loan, no down payment loan, that means you're going to have some money left over, right? So a lot of times what we're finding is that you're getting money back at closing. So one of the great things about this is that, let's say the grant it covers all of your closing costs, but you've got money left over, then you have the ability to buy your interest rate down with the remaining funds. So what we don't want to do is leave any money on the table, give you, be able to take full advantage of, the programs out there and take full advantage of the money that's there to be able to make this home affordable to you. So with this particular program, and I'll show you what I mean on the other ones, we really try to make homeownership really affordable, right? No down payment. You can use anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 to cover your closing costs. There's no private mortgage insurance on here. So it's making that monthly payment affordable, and you have the ability to buy your interest rate down. So that's making, again, your monthly payment affordable. And, you have all your down payment or your closing costs covered. So isn't this a great way to be able to buy a home as affordable as possible, but sustainable? So let's talk about the two other programs, the Home Ready and Home Possible. They're pretty much one and the same, just kind of secured by two different entities. It's 3% down with these particular loan products. There's reduced private mortgage insurance. So it does have the PMI, however, it is reduced. And there is an income limit that's pretty strict on that, with the income limits on that. Now, property location isn't a factor, so you can pretty much buy anywhere as long as you're under that income limit. Now, First Horizon Bank has taken it a step further, where we have our CRA option. You see the yellow highlighted there? It says, if the property is located in a low to moderate income census tract, the First Horizon Bank will cover the private mortgage insurance. So to utilize these two programs, you already have to be under the income limit, right? Well, if the home is located in a low to moderate income census tract, First Horizon Bank will cover the private mortgage insurance on that. So that's another way to make homeownership affordable. And you can use any of these three grants that we talked about to be able to cover this closing costs and that down payment for you. So, as far as affordable lending, that's pretty much what First Horizon Bank has to offer. As far as affordable lending, we do have some other programs available. We can do the standard conventional FHA, VA, USDA loan products. If you're interested in that, we've got professional mortgage products for doctors, CPAs, attorneys, community heroes programs, which is for our medical workers or first responder workers who make above that income limit. Because nurses too, especially if you're like a nurse practitioner or something, you make a lot of money. We have some special programs for that. Physicians, if you're a doctor, we got up to 100% financing. But amazing things. Again, they mentioned that we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So, if you've got questions, we're happy to answer those. And of course, drop your questions in the chat box. And that's all I've got. So I'll turn it over to Blaine.
Daniel, amazing information. You have 1,000,001 questions in the chat. We have answered a lot of them for you. No, but y'all, Daniel is the expert, right? So, make sure you keep your questions coming so he can pop back over there and help answer. Lots of specific questions coming through about what qualifies as a first responder, right? That sort of thing. A couple of questions in the Q&A that have come through about some of the income limits and just some reminders on the eligible counties for some of the programs that you discussed. So, y'all, this is fantastic information. I saw a note come through in the chat from a young lady who works for the Dallas County Sheriff's Office that said, this program sounds like it might be for me. Yeah, we love that. So absolutely, we have dropped in Daniel's contact info in the chat. Make sure that you follow up, reach out, ask questions. That's the purpose today. It's just step one. We're just giving a high-level overview. Reach out to Daniel and our other partners today. He can give you all of the specifics. Daniel, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you back for the Q&A session at 1. All right, y'all. So keep those questions coming so we can get them answered for you. We're going to move on to one of our next programs. I had a question come through in the chat box earlier about, what if I am a recent transplant from Houston to Dallas? Number 1, welcome to Dallas. But number 2, the question was, are there any programs that might be available outside of DFW? And of course, the answer is yes. I'm really excited to welcome our next presenter, who is representing one of our amazing statewide programs here in the state of Texas. Our next presenter is the branch manager for Town Square Mortgage. Gracie is also a preferred loan officer for the TSHAC program, which stands for Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation. So TSHAC is actually a program that is available statewide, and it is a phenomenal program. So without further ado, Gracie, good morning. I will pass it along to you.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. I would like to break the ice. It is Saturday morning. Daniel and Alejandro did amazing, but I want to start with a little story. I'm working from home. I'm a mom of 3 kids. And about 6 minutes ago, I told them, I said, I need total silence. Help me with the little one. He's 8. And my daughter was like, you got this, Mom. Plus, you've been on Telemundo before. That is not true. I have not been on Telemundo, but I started laughing. I do a lot of videos educating my community. And so I guess she thought I'd been on TV before. So I was like, that's exactly what I needed. Well, welcome everybody. I am Gracie Perez. I'm a mortgage loan originator, also branch manager. I work for Town Square Mortgage, a local lender here in Dallas. But today I am representing Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation. It is an amazing organization. I love using them. I love using their programs for all my families. One of the best assets that they have is they don't have income limits. So I can help everybody. We can help anyone moving from Houston to Dallas, from El Paso to Salina, Texas. I mean, they don't have income limits. So it is a statewide opportunity for all the families who are needing down payment assistance and help with the closing cost. And with that being said, I wanted to share my personal mission as a loan officer. When I started forming a team, I thought I needed a mission and a vision. And so I want to educate, empower, and serve my community. And that's exactly what TSHAC is doing for all of the families that we help. So let me tell you a little bit about TSHAC. So TSHAC is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our mission is to serve the housing needs of low-income Texans and other underserved populations. We fulfill our mission through our concept of affordable housing programs in Texas. Next slide. TSHAC has two different types of assistance to home buyers. The first one is loans with down payment assistance, and the second one is mortgage interest tax credit. So with that being said, this assistance is available statewide with no limitation on location, which is what I was just saying before. The first type of assistance is a low interest rate mortgage loan with down payment assistance attached to the loan. The loan is a 30-year fixed rate mortgage loan and may be an FHA, VA, USDA, or conventional mortgage loan. The assistance may be used for down payment and to help cover your closing costs. The second type of assistance is a special mortgage interest income tax credit. This income tax credit will help reduce the amount of income taxes you owe to the IRS by as much as $2,000 a year, every year as long as you live in the home. By reducing the amount of income taxes you owe, this increases your take-home pay, which may be used to help you pay for your mortgage payment. This tax credit may be combined with the down payment assistance too, so you get a loan with down payment assistance, and then you can add the MCC or mortgage credit certificate. So not only does TSHAC help you get in your home with the down payment assistance, but they also provide an income tax credit, which may help you pay for your monthly payments. Next slide. So here is a breakdown of the options available that we have for all of our families. So there is a 2% in assistance, a 3% in assistance, a 4% in assistance, and a 5% in assistance. It is important to mention that the assistance is based on the total loan amount, not the sales price. So when you're working with a loan originator and you want to get pre-approved for this type of assistance, it is important that you talk to your loan originator as far as the amount that you are wanting and the rate that's going to be picked with the type of assistance. There is no need to be a first-time home buyer in order to use this program, as long as the home that you're buying is going to be your primary residence. The type of assistance, the amount can be used to cover your down payment and your closing cost. So you do have some flexibility when using the funds. You can put the money towards your down payment, closing cost, or to reduce your loan balance, or any combination of the three. So you do not have to be a first-time homeowner to use TSHAC's down payment assistance. However, it must be used to purchase your primary residence. Next slide. The down payment assistance comes in two forms. The grant assistance that they receive. So the grant assistance that they receive, they never have to pay it back. So if you as a family receive the grant, you never have to pay it back. The second option, it's the 3-year deferred forgivable second lien. This is a great new option that became available December 2nd in 2019. This allows for families to choose any of our loan types and assistance in any different level. It will provide a lower interest rate on the first lien than the grant options, and it becomes a grant after 3 years. So you have option number 1 is a grant, you don't have to pay it back. Option number 2, it's a 3-year deferred forgivable second lien. That one you do have to pay back if you sell or refinance the home within the 3 years after your closing date. It is also a deferred one. So if you stay in the home after the 3 years, then it becomes a grant and you don't have to pay it back. Next slide. Okay, let's talk about mortgage interest tax credits. This second form of assistance is my personal favorite, and I would like to call it the gift that keeps on giving. The special mortgage interest tax credit is called a mortgage credit certificate, also known as MCC. This is a first-time homebuyer program only, with the definition of a first-time homebuyer being anyone who hasn't had ownership interest in a primary residence for the last 3 years. Let me explain that a little bit further. Anyone who was previously a homeowner but sold a home 3 years ago, you are now a first-time home buyer. Okay? As we discussed before, a mortgage credit certificate, or MCC, gives a homeowner the ability to claim an income tax credit equal to 20% of the mortgage interest paid annually. This credit may be used every year for the life of the loan as long as they occupy the home as their primary residence. One of the best features of an MCC is that it can help your home buyer qualify by reducing the debt to income ratio on the mortgage loan, which gives your home buyer more buying power. So with that being said, if you are trying to buy a house and your debt to income ratio is a little high for the home that you want, we can always, as a loan officer, add a mortgage credit certificate as long as you are a first-time home buyer to help you reduce your debt to income ratio, to help you qualify for the home that you want. Next slide. So here's how mortgage interest rates, interest tax credits work. You basically, this is a credit example. The loan amount is $260,000. The interest rate is 6.875%. The interest you will pay in the first full year will be $17,875. 20% equals $3,575. There is no longer a cap on the credit earned. Previously, it was $2,000. So it effectively lowers your interest rate to 5.5%. And then the lender may also add the $3,575 as an income on your loan application. Next slide. Well, you may be asking, well, what's the difference between the tax credit and, the tax deduction? This is a very important and very common question we get at the office. Well, because the MCC, remember, is only available for first-time home buyers, anyone who hasn't owned a home in the past 3 years. Every individual is filing taxes, and so you automatically get a tax credit or a tax deduction based on the interest rate that you're paying if you own a home. Well, the holders of an MCC benefit from the dollar-to-dollar credit that an MCC provides. Well, tax credits provide a dollar-for-dollar reduction of income tax liability or taxes owed, while tax deductions allow one person to lower the amount of taxable income by the amount of the mortgage interest. For example, if you pay $5,000 in mortgage interest and your income is $50,000, you can reduce the amount of your taxable income by the amount of interest you paid, which would reduce your taxable income by $45,000. This is the amount of income you will pay on income taxes. A $2,000 deduction, for example, might reduce your tax bill by only $300 to $400. A $2,000 tax credit cuts your tax bill by $2,000, which is amazing. And remember, as long as you stay in this home, you will get the mortgage credit certificate every year that you file your taxes. Next slide. Well, I know I've gone over a lot of information, so you may be asking, well, how do I get started? Very easy. You go to www.readytobuyatexashome.com, and it'll take you to the Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation main page. You are able to take the homebuyer eligibility quiz, which has great information that will let you know if you qualify to use one of the two programs that we have. Next slide. Once you click on the quiz, you will get your results for any additional details and the next steps. You will need to contact a preferred lender or loan officer by clicking on the View Lenders in Your Area button. You can choose a preferred lender, loan officer from the list. It is important to mention that those loan officers are certified and have gone through the programs with Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation, hence the reason why they're listed there. Then you just simply contact the loan officer to use one of the programs with TSHAC. A loan officer should be able to walk you through the remainder of the process, ensuring that you qualify, and will also submit an application for assistance on your behalf. You do not need to do anything or send anything directly to TSHAC. Your loan officer should be able to do everything for you and go over the types of assistance, the rates, your monthly payment, cash to close, and all of that good stuff. Next slide. So when choosing a loan officer, know that TSHAC highlights loan officers who are knowledgeable and experienced in both the down payment assistance and the mortgage credit certificate programs. This is a statewide performing section for loan officers who have done the most business with TSHAC statewide. Because of their extensive knowledge in both of the programs, that's why they are listed there. It is an advantage to you because then you know that you can trust those loan officers. Next slide. Now, home buyers do need to complete a home buyer education prior to choosing the home loan. When choosing a home buyer education class, you have the option of taking an online class or an in-person class. The 3 online options that TSHAC allows are listed on the online classes section. I do recommend taking a class before you apply because it will guide you through the process. Once you start applying for a loan, it can become very overwhelming. There's so many options out there for all the buyers, and it can be a little complicated and confusing. But if you take the class, it will guide you through it. It has really, really amazing information. I personally take it once a quarter just because I need a refresher, and every time I take it, I learn something new. Next slide. Okay, so this is just a refresh of the page, when visiting the home buyers and renters section of the Ready to Buy a Texas Home Loan. You can find the eligibility quiz that will tell you if you qualify for one of the programs based on the income. Remember, it is a statewide organization. We don't have requirements or limitations on the cities. And you also are going to be finding the information for the loans with down payment assistance program. You're going to find more information about the mortgage credit certificate program, and you're going to find information about the consumer resources, including a steps to buy a home which is also really good to have handy. Next slide. And that is all. I'm Gracie Perez, branch manager with Town Square Mortgage. I educate, empower, and I serve my community. I hope you found my presentation interesting, and I hope to hear from many of you.
Educator, empower, servant leader, that really does embody you. Gracie, we are
Thank you.
To count you as a partner here at Dallas Habitat. Thank you so much for that presentation. Lots of interest for the TSHAC program, particularly for those in the chat box who might have high student loan debt. So very interested in how we might be able to apply some of this assistance to support with our DTI. We use a lot of acronyms in the mortgage world, right? DTI, debt to income ratio. And so, if that's you, if you're thinking, geez, I don't know if I can get qualified for a program, you might consider a program like TSHAC. We've dropped Gracie's information in the chat box. She'll be back at 1 o'clock on our Q&A panel. Gracie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
See you in a bit. We've got another incredible statewide program that I am so excited to share with you guys today. So again, when you're thinking about location of your home, and that is such an important factor when we think about the home buying process, these statewide programs, if you are interested in calling the great state of Texas home, it doesn't matter if you're looking at the city of Dallas, city of, Mesquite, wherever it might be that we see in the chat box today, these programs are available statewide. So excited to welcome our next presenter, Miss Lisa Johnson. Miss Lisa is the Texas Home Ownership Director. That is quite the title, y'all, right? Texas Home Ownership Director. I love that. For an organization known as TDHCA, that stands for the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. TDHCA has some phenomenal programs for buyers across the state. I could not be more excited to welcome Miss Lisa to today's event. Good morning and welcome, Lisa.
Good morning, Miss Blaine. Thank you for having us. We're so excited. We applaud everybody that's watching today for taking your time out, for being here. We're just big believers in education first. We realize that your dream of homeownership is a big one. It's confusing. There's a lot of information that you're just like, gosh, I don't know where to start. And I'm just excited that you're here and you're starting that journey in a safe space. That phrase is overused, but truly you're amongst friends, and it's so exciting to be part of all these resources, because as Blaine and I just spoke about yesterday, I believe it takes all of us to help everybody that needs help. And so this is really amazing. You could get a lot of resources in one place. And hopefully you won't be overwhelmed. That's my goal today, is not to overwhelm you with too many details, but tell you a little bit about who we are, where you can find the resources, and definitely how to find us later to get your questions answered. Habitat for Humanity is just near and dear to my heart. I've had a lot of personal experience with them, and our agency has been blessed with participating in some of the habitat builds. I don't know if you've seen those on news or social media. It's one of the most powerful experiences I've been involved with. You can volunteer. Anybody can volunteer. Well, I'm volunteering everybody for you, Blaine, but many people can volunteer to build with Habitat on behalf of actual homes and for actual home buyers. And we as a state agency have participated in several of those. We did one last summer at the state capitol, and talk about sweat equity. It was really hot that day, but we got to meet a fabulous family and participate. So if you get a chance, please check into that to do that. So I'm digressing, so let's get on to the Texas Homebuyer Program. As Blaine said, a lot of acronyms. There's TDHCA. That stands for Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. So jot that one down because you may need it in the future. So what does that mean? TDHCA is a state agency. We're the official housing finance agency for the state of Texas. Every state gets just one, so there's 50 in the states in the United States. what that brings for our agency is the financial strength behind the whole state of Texas, behind the pool of money that we have available for you. We're tasked with the challenge of maintaining a big pool of money, rinse and recycling, and having it available to help the next home buyer. So that's where the money comes from. We don't get money from the state legislature. We are required to maintain our own pool of money and, like I said, rinse and recycle. So Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs is a really big agency. We do a lot of things, all things housing, but everything's affordable homes. There's multifamily, there's community and energy efficiency, colonial activities at the border. We support definitely safe and affordable housing. Our mission is aligned with Habitat in that sense. We do serve extremely low, and moderate incomes as an agency. So the Texas Homebuyer Program itself is a division of TDHCA. We're proud to provide funds for down payment and closing cost assistance to low and moderate income homes. In Texas, that number is going up and up because the cost of living is so crazy, and to some extent, incomes are increasing. So there's one thing to remember is that we have flexible options no matter where you are in your purchasing power, something for lower income and something for even some of the higher incomes within the limits that we're required to stay with. Additionally, the Texas Homebuyer Program does administer the Texas Mortgage Credit Certificate Program, much like what Gracie just spoke to you about. I'm going to steal her line that she's already said. It is truly the gift that keeps on giving. Gracie explained a lot about that to you, so I won't cover that too much, but do always, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, check into that, figure out if it's right for you, work with your loan officer to see if that's a good option. Our goals are to educate home buyers, lenders, and realtors how to streamline the home buying process and include down payment assistance when you need it. Again, we are an education first mission-based state agency. Whether you use our down payment assistance or not, we want to help you with the process. We want to help refer you. If you call our office and go, hey, I was on that wonderful webinar, you remember the contact at First Horizon, we're going to help you do that because they might be the better source for you. And so that's one of our missions, is to make sure all your questions get answered. Okay, so how does our process work? We work, this slide it was for a realtor presentation, but it still applies. We work through a network of approved lenders and realtors, and either partner is going to work with you to determine, do you need down payment assistance? Some people have resources. They have a grandpa loan, or they have some savings of their own, and they want to use some down payment assistance, but not all of it. So that's the first step that you think about. Then the next step is to provide you with the link to where you can find a lender, because as some of the other speakers have talked about, you really can't go any further in the home buying process, in my opinion, without a pre-qualification. Some people are not ready to actually speak to a loan officer, but there are plenty of housing counselors like Habitat for Humanity, like others that you'll hear about today, that can get you ready. You may have a lot of questions that you just don't know the answers to yet to even know if you're ready. So step 2 on our process is to locate a lender. And this is the link to the lender locator. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Then when you get to your approved lender, they're going to do all the heavy lifting, much like T-Shack. We're not going to work with you directly if you're the home buyer, but we're here to answer questions and support the process. So your lender that you decide on is going to do all the heavy lifting. There's no additional application to receive the state of Texas funds for down payment assistance. It's just part of the process. So you will not make application directly to the state, but we just provide the extra needed funds to help you get across the finish line. Then step forward, the lender just makes a reservation in our system on your behalf as the home buyer. They're going to discuss with you all the different loan options, and they're going to lock in your interest rate. When you use the Texas Department of Housing down payment assistance, everybody in the state of Texas gets the same rates. The rates do change on a daily basis, but it's not like that loan officer has to compete against the whole big market. We work very hard to provide very low rates, and they're posted on our website daily and fully transparent. So step 5, the lender is going to, once your loan is approved, the lender is just going to schedule closing. And then all of a sudden, you've purchased a house that you might not be able to have without these extra funds. It's super fast. There's no additional work to be done. There's no pre-close check that's going to slow you down. It's sometimes that's a misnomer. Ms. Lane talked about things that are misunderstood about this process, and DPA, down payment assistance, takes no extra time. So don't let that get in your way. Okay, so generally speaking, to qualify for the state of Texas down payment assistance, in the industry, we call them overlays. What you're going to need to do is qualify for a mortgage, and you're going to do that through your lender. And then your lender's going to go, okay, we've determined you need down payment assistance. So if we're going to go to the state of Texas, what does the state of Texas need? Texas Homebuyer Program requires minimal things, which is a 620 FICO score and a 55% debt to income ratio. So if you meet those 2 criteria, then the only other thing are income and purchase price limits, which are available on our website. These are quick links to where you can find that. Then you're qualified for the additional down payment assistance. There's no other heavy lifting or big complicated extra requirements. We don't, there are some down payment assistance programs out in the world that have, not to overwhelm you too much with lingo, but front end ratios and back end ratios, and they're there for a reason. They support the mission of that down payment assistance, and we certainly understand that. We've been, we do not have to do that. So just know that we try to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so here's programs at a glance. This document is also available on the website if you want to come back to it. It breaks it down into, we have different programs for different folks. My First Texas, looking at time, see how I'm doing. My First Texas is for only first-time home buyers. My Choice Texas is for folks that could be a first-time home buyer but don't have to be. And then the Texas Mortgage Credit Certificate Program that we touched on. So if you're first-time home buyer, we definitely have separate programs for you, slightly separate requirements. If you have folks that have purchased a home before, but they still need down payment assistance, we don't require that you sell your previous home. You can keep that as a rental. Come to us to buy your next primary residence. It can't be a rental property. I mean, it can't be an investment property. So we're here to help you as well. Okay, different loan options. We have different loans for different folks. We have a 30-year repay, a 3-year, good gracious. Okay, a deferred repayable 30-year second lien option. That means, or a 3-year forgivable option. So the forgivable option literally goes away after 3 years. It is almost like a gift, but it just disappears after 3 years. The deferred 30-year is what we call like a grandpa loan. It's meant to be, it's really our bread and butter of how our agency has had assistance funds for all these years in the billions and billions of dollars. It is a rinse and recycle, meant to be a leg up grandpa loan. You're otherwise qualified for a mortgage, you've done the hard work, you just need some down payment, or you may have your down payment but want to hold it. You want to keep those assets in your possession to make sure your home buying experience remains sustainable. We're all about that. We don't care how much money you have in the bank. You can still come to us with no judgment that I would like to have down payment assistance as long as you qualify. So that loan is meant to be repaid one day. If you sell the house, refinance, or pay it off in 30 years, then it comes back to the state and we're able to help another borrower. All the loans are no interest, 0% interest. They are a second lien. They sit there silently and do nothing. If you are on the 30-year deferred and you want to pay that stuff back at some point, anytime, it's completely voluntary, you have that option. Our assistance options range everywhere from 2 to 5%. They're listed every day on our rate sheet, and you're welcome to see what's available on that day. When your loan officer is ready to lock your loan or reserve funds for the down payment assistance is when you are going to be able to access those funds. Let's see, what else? Oh, available properties. So you can use our program for owner-occupied duplexes. If you're going to live in one half of the duplex, those are qualified. Manufactured homes are really big in Texas now. It's one of the most affordable ways to get some acreage, and we allow for those, along with just regular single-family residences. Okay, the other new loan program that we've had it in the past, and most recently we brought it back again. It's the no DPA option, unassisted loan. You're like, why is a division that's offering down payment assistance telling me about a no assistance option? Well, some folks are so qualified that they have access to their down payment, but they really, really need a lower rate. Now they have an option. This was so popular this last bond allocation that we had, and it is available for folks that are highly qualified, but need a lower rate, either to qualify or they just want it. The market has been so crazy these past few years, especially last year. Interest rates are starting to level out a little bit, but this program offers, generally speaking, a below market rate. And so it's an opportunity to talk to your loan officers about that, if those criteria meet your things. Bonus gifts available. In addition to our down payment assistance, we also partner with a lot of area housing finance corporations. Because we're the state agency, we get to partner with other smaller housing finance agencies through the state of Texas. When you see this on our homepage, click on it, and it's an ever expanding list of different available gift funds that you can layer with our down payment assistance. You can add it, and it's true gift money, and in some areas it's quite high. I'm going to show you that in just a little bit more. Okay, so this is where the link is to get to those gift funds. We just talked about different regions. This is just a screenshot of what our website looks like. I just wanted to make sure that when you get to the website, this is, you've arrived home at the right place. Every once in a while, you can type in something, you're like, where am I? And you end up on a realtor's website, which is not us, and maybe they'll have some good options for you, but this is where you need to be to get to the Texas Home Buyer Program. This right here is where the gift funds link is, so look for that. And what else? So on the home buying experience, we've purposely kept the website in different sections. The home buyers have their own page, lenders, realtors, counselors, so that they're more customized to what you're looking for, so you can find your resources faster. So step one is what we consider is educate yourself. In order to use our funds, you do need a home buyer education course. However, we will accept a lot of courses throughout the state of Texas. But we do have a free home buyer education course that you can register for right there. Step one. Step 2 on the home buyers page is get pre-qualified with the TD8CA loan officer. This is what the link where you find your loan officer, and we have it broken down. When you get there, we have it broken down by much like TSHAC, by the experience level of the loan officer. So you can pick the loan officer with the most experience or middle experience or whatever. You have control over how you'd like to do that. Step 3 is locating a dedicated realtor that is educated on our programs. We have a new designation for realtors that take our training for TD8CA, and we call them the TD8CA DPA specialist. If you really want a realtor that knows about our programs and or affordable housing, click on that link, and that will get you to a resource to help find you a realtor. And this is kind of what that page looks like real fast, so you can visually know you're in the right place. And this is just some other links just to, again, quickly get you to where you need to get: the home buyers page, lenders page, realtors page, and the all-important rates. So you can check in on us anytime and go, is this meeting my needs? And or check with your loan officer and go, I think TD8CA has 5.875 today. Can you help me with that? And so it's good. Again, a resource, this is how you find us: 1-800-792-1119. And this is our team email, txhomebuyer@td8ca. I'm Lisa.Johnson at this fine address. It's super long, but that's how you can always reach out and find us at TD8CA. And we thank you for your time. I know that was fast and furious, and I probably went over time, so thanks so much.
Lisa, thank you so much. Really great info. I mean, we're just keeping this theme going on today. We will drop all of that information in the chat box. I want to just quickly say we're getting a lot of questions in the chat box about if attendees will get this information in a recording. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is the beauty of doing this event virtually. All of this is being recorded today. You will receive a copy of it. I will say briefly, if you joined today only using the Zoom link and did not register for the event on our website, be sure to privately message us in the chat, drop us your email. We will ensure you receive a copy of today's event. Lisa, thank you so much. We'll see you back at 1. I would like to welcome our next presenter up, who is Miss Renee Singleton. Renee is with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas. You might recall that you heard briefly earlier Aretha mention that Dallas Habitat uses the Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas's help program as well. So Miss Renee will share a little bit about that today. Renee is the Senior Affordable Housing Analyst for the Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas. Renee, welcome. Good morning. Great to have you.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to say good morning to everyone. I am Renee Singleton with the Federal Home Bank of Dallas. And I would like to say happy Saturday and thank you for joining us. A special thank you to our Dallas Habitat for giving us the opportunity to participate and discuss and go over our options for a down payment closing cost assistance. First, I will give a brief overview of the Federal Home Loan Bank, the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Program, the eligibility requirements, the required documentation, the funding process, and our website and contact information. I also would like to add that we are very committed to helping with affordable housing. We are currently assisting Dallas Habitat actually with building a home in the community. So assisting with home ownership is very personal to us. The Federal Home Loan Bank system was created by an act of Congress under the Hoover administration in July of 1932 to support mortgage lending and related community investment. One may assume because of our name, we are a part of the federal government. However, we are regulated by the Housing Finance Agency, and we are organized as a cooperative and owned by approximately 800 members and associate institutions. We do operate independently as a government-sponsored enterprise similar to Fannie Mae and without taxpayer assistance. The funding for our programs actually come out of the bank's income. The bank will make available affordable housing program subsidies in an amount equal to 10% of its prior year's net income. The Federal Home Loan Bank system members are banks, community investments, credit unions, CDFIs, thrifts, and insurance companies. Our 5-state district consists of Arkansas, Louisiana, New Mexico, and Texas. However, we're not restricted to the 5-state district. Some of our member institutions have their footprint in other states, example, Oklahoma. If a member services Oklahoma and they have a qualified home buyer, they can still submit an application. Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership, which is our HELP program, is a subsidy offered through the Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas members that assists first-time home buyers who meet income requirements with down payment assistance and closing costs. Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas set aside $6.5 million of its 2023 Affordable Housing Program General Fund for the HELP subsidy. And the subsidies are awarded on a first-come, first-served basis to qualifying households with income not exceeding 80% of the area median income. And as of February 24th, we have over $5 million available left in funds. Program specifics. The HELP subsidies can be used for down payment and closing cost assistance for qualified first-time home buyers. The grant amounts for this year, we have up to $15,000 when the member originates the first mortgage. We have up to $8,000 if the first mortgage is not originated by the submitting member. An example would be Habitat and an intermediary or a sponsor. However, the member and home buyers must satisfy all programmatic requirements. All U.S. property locations are eligible for this program. However, it is a first-come, first-served basis until the funds are exhausted or until December 31st, whichever comes first. Now we'll discuss requirements. The applicants must be first-time home buyers. This will apply to anyone that will be listed on the closing disclosure. This will be demonstrated through the first-time home buyer attestation form, which is located in the funding manual, which we'll discuss later. The applicant's income must be 80% or below the area median income, which of course you've heard that from several of the other attendees. The area income limits that are within our 5-state district can be found on our website. And if it's an out of district, it can be found on the HUD's website. The home buyer must contribute at least $500 of out-of-pocket expense, which cannot be gifted. An example would be earnest money. The home buyer also must not receive any cash back at closing. This is strictly prohibited, and it may result in recapture of the subsidy. The applicant must also complete a home buyer counseling course, which you've heard previously as well. We have no restrictions on the home buyer education course that an applicant can use. However, the organization providing the course should have experience with providing the training. We will require documentations, so you will need a 2023 completed funding manual, which can be located on our website, income documentation, which can be pay stubs, verification of employment, Social Security award letters, pension letters, etc. We will need a preliminary closing disclosure or a loan estimate. This should include the HELP subsidy and the homeowner contribution, so will need to be listed. We will also need a copy of the certificate or evidence of home buyer counseling course. Final documentation within 30 days after disbursement of funds, we will need the final closing disclosure, which is signed by the home buyer. And 60 days after disbursement, we will need the recorded deed restriction, which we'll touch on next. The deed restriction is recorded against the property for the direct subsidy amount and will need to be signed at closing and recorded as a standalone document shortly. Standalone would be individual. The grant is forgiven monthly until the homeowner has lived in the home for 5 years. The deed restriction will need to include the state, the county, the applicant's name, physical address, the direct subsidy amount, and the legal description of the property, which is listed on Exhibit A. The homeowner should maintain this documentation for the length of the retention period, which is the 5 years. Please note that we will need the current deed restriction, which is 2023, and is located in the funding manual, which is on our website. Completed requests will need to be submitted through one of our member institutions. It may take about 5 to 7 business days to review the requests, and upon approval of funding, it is dispersed directly to our member institution into their direct deposit account that they hold with us, and then they disperse accordingly. To review our programs, whether it's HELP or any other program, please go to our website at www.fhlb.com, select Community Investment, and then select Home Buyer Equity Leverage Program. And of course, you see all of our other programs that we do offer. Then go to the left. The left will show you the requirements, the funding process, the enrollment process. And then if you see it towards the bottom, I know that there are several people on the call that may not have lenders. So we have a list of participating members that will love to assist you with your financing needs. So please select that. It'll give you a breakdown in your area, and then you can contact them so they can submit the application for you on your behalf. I know that this was a lot of information. It was given fast and in a short period of time. So please do not hesitate to contact us for additional information, of course, by phone at 1-800-362-2944 or by email, ahp@fhlb.com. We'll be happy to assist you.
Renee, thank you so much. Like she said, fast and furious. Here's the thing. Honestly, that's very representative of the HELP program because y'all, let me tell you, the HELP program is so easy to use.
We're glad.
Right. We have so many buyers that come through Dallas Habitat, both like you mentioned, Renee, on the Habitat pathway to home ownership, meaning they're buying a Habitat home and using FHLB's HELP program in addition to the $8,000 that we provide ourselves, like Aretha mentioned earlier today. But we also have buyers that go the open market pathway to home ownership, and they work with some of the Federal Home Loan Bank's preferred lenders or member institutions, I should say. And so they're utilizing that funding. Like Renee said, y'all, $8,000 to $15,000 in down payment assistance for an easy program. So check it out. Contact info in the chat. Of course, as usual, Renee, we'll see you back at 1 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Okay, y'all, we're going to keep going. So notice that we're moving from high level down to more granular here. Okay, so we talked about the statewide programs. Then we talked about Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas's program. Now I am so excited to bring you one of our other fantastic programs here in the Metroplex, and that is the Dallas County Home Loan Counseling Center's program known as UPCAP. Okay, y'all know we love the acronyms by now, right? How many acronyms have we heard today? So don't feel intimidated by these acronyms. Remember, all of this information will be sent to you following the event. So you're gonna have all of this in detail. The UPCAP program is administered by, as I mentioned, Dallas County Home Loan Counseling Center, which is, just as it sounds like, a housing counseling center. Who else is a housing counseling agency? Habitat. So we are so excited to bring along one of our fantastic community partners who is doing the great work in the community to provide essential funding for first-time buyers. Miss Regina Blackwell, housing counselor with Dallas County, is here with us today. Good morning, Regina.
Good morning. Thank you, Blaine. Glad to be here. Excited. Good. Well, thank you for having us. And I am going to be talking about our down payment assistance program called UPCAP, Upfront Cost Assistance Program. Okay, next slide. We are HUD certified counselors here at Dallas County, and we do provide all of our classes, our education and counseling in house, and our services are free. So you can't beat that price. So we're here to help you become mortgage ready. If it's credit, if it's savings, money management, whatever your need is in order to get you to that point of being able to apply for a mortgage. We also have our classes and counseling in Spanish. We've started that the first of the year, and that's really growing. So we're real excited about that. So to start with our UpCap program, our program does provide up to $7,500 for your down payment, closing costs, or prepaid cost. You do have to be a first-time home buyer. And again, it's if you haven't purchased or owned a home in the past 3 years. So applicants, you must be pre-qualified from a mortgage for mortgage loan. So once you are pre-qualified, let us know. You can call our office and request an application. Once that application has been sent to you, then of course you want to fill it out, and there will be a list and an instruction sheet along with the application for you to go down the list with the documents that are needed. And luckily, most of the documents that you will need is what you have already had applying for your mortgage. So keep those together. You do have to attend our first-time home buyers class. You can either do that before you request the application or after, but just before you close on the home, the first-time home buyers class will have to be completed, and you will receive a certificate for that completion that's good for a year. So we encourage you, as soon as you are pre-qualified for your loan, to let us know. And if you do have a contract that's executed and you are getting your closing date set, then let us know it immediately so we can start our process in getting you approved and get your funding. Okay, next slide. So eligible cities. Our program is done through HUD, and these are the cities that HUD has approved for you to purchase your home in order to be one of the eligibility requirements of our program. So this is a list. There's several cities. This Bulk Springs, Cedar Hill, Cockrell Hill, Capel, Duncanville, Farmers Branch, Glen Heights, Hutchins, Lancaster, Saxe, Siegelville, and Wilmer. So these are all cities that you can apply for a loan for a home in these cities. So there are exceptions as far as first-time home buyers. They can be if you're a single parent, or if you a displaced homemaker or family or individual who resides in a local building that doesn't meet codes and it can't be brought into code by the compliance of the building. So we would deal with those, of course, on case-by-case basis. So these are the cities that are eligible. Okay, next slide. There are income limits, and you've probably seen this previously, but you would just find your family size, and that would be the income limit for your family. And of course, the family size will be based on the number of people in your household, be it their age or relationship. It doesn't have to be family. It's just people that are going to permanently reside in your home. So for example, if you have a family of 4, your maximum gross annual income can't be over $77,900. But don't let that discourage you, because if you are close to that or maybe just a little bit over, that's okay. Go ahead and fill out the application. Let us review it. Let us determine your income, because there are credits that we can give you if you have childcare, if you have minor children, if there is going to be someone in your home that's disabled, or if you're caring for elderly. So there's several different options we can have that may give you credit that could get you down under that income. So if you feel that you don't approve or you won't be approved, go ahead and fill it out and let us make sure. Okay. Next slide. So there are property requirements. The maximum purchase price is $271,000 for an existing home or for a new construction home. And I know the market is a little bit wacky right now, but hopefully it's getting better. So hopefully it will be better. Properties for existing new construction property, existing properties, condominiums, townhomes, and 1 unit of a duplex. It cannot be in a flood zone. So if you're not sure, then you can go onto FEMA maps and that will kind of let you know if it is or not. If it is a rental home and it is occupied, it has to be vacant 60 days prior to you getting a contract. That prevents displacement of renters. But of course, if you are renting the home and you're purchasing it, then that's fine. So just make sure of that. And the home purchase price cannot be more than the lender's appraisal value. HUD homes are not eligible for our UPCAP program. Our UPCAP homes have all the repairs must be done prior to closing, and HUD homes will allow you to do any repairs after. So that is the reason for that. Bank foreclosure short sales could be eligible, but we do that case by case basis. We just have to look at that. Another eligibility for property is if it was built prior to 1978, it will have to pass a lead-based paint visual assessment. So, and if there's any exposure of that, then it would have to be stabilized and that would be paid by the seller. Okay. All right. Next slide. Property inspections, which is very, very important no matter what home you're buying. All properties must be inspected, and it does have to pass the Dallas County minimum property standards. And we do have a list of home inspectors that you have to use, that an inspector that's on our list, because they have been trained to determine the minimum property standards. So you would get an inspector from our list, and they would do the MPS. And they would also do the TREC, which is the Texas Real Estate Commission inspection. And they will also do the inspection for the insects and the paint inspection. So all of the inspectors on our list would take care of all of that. You are, all inspectors or lenders are required to repair or make repairs prior to closing. That's one of the qualifications. All property a property may be ineligible for our UPCAP program if there's major damage, especially to the roof or foundation or plumbing systems, but that will also be determined in the inspection. And the inspection must be paid by the buyer at the time of the inspection. Okay, thank you. Next slide. The financing, of course, you do, as I mentioned before, receive a pre-qualification letter from your lender. You must have acceptable credit history and be able to qualify for a fixed mortgage rate. If you need help with your credit, we provide one-on-one counseling, and we also provide a virtual class for credit repair workshop. All of our classes are virtual. So the owner finance contracts or deeds or interest loans are not. So you don't want a subprime, an average ARM loan. I'll get it out in a minute. Or on finance contracts for deeds or interest only loans are not eligible. That was hard for me to say. So lender fees and charges cannot exceed $2,500. And applicants must have the ratios. Their housing ratios cannot exceed 35%, and the debt ratios cannot exceed 45% of the monthly income, of the gross monthly income. Okay, next. The borrower's qualifications. Again, you are required to attend our 8-hour home buying class. It is a virtual class through Zoom. We've broken it down into 3 classes. Once you attend all 3, then you would receive your certificate. And all the persons that are going to be residing in the household, and that will be determined the family size. Applicants on the mortgage loan must be included on our application. and meet all application guidelines. Okay. And also, if there is a spouse and that you are separated, but you're not divorced, they have to be on the application as a co-applicant, because we're a community state here in Texas. So anyone that's over 18 years of age and residing in the household will also have to be determined and will be included in the income eligibility. But we would just get all the information from you and we'd help determine that. If you have liquid assets greater than the $7,000 at the time of your application, the assistance will be reduced dollar for dollar for every amount in the excess of $7,000. And if you're a disabled borrower, then we would evaluate that in a case-by-case basis. Okay, next slide. You must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident and possess all your current and work authorizations. They all must be current, and we need copies of front and back. You cannot, and anyone in the household cannot own any improved real estate or structure that could be used for residential purposes, including mobile homes, with a permanent fixed foundation. Being an applicant, we do have a contribution minimum of at least $1,000 or 1% of the purchase price, whichever is greater. You'll also have a fee inspection and cash due at closing, and any paid outside of closing expenses, this will be credited to you on the applicant, okay? On the applicant's minimum investment requirement. So 1% or $1,000 of the purchase price, whichever is greater. Okay, next. The occupancy requirements, you do, and county will hold a second lien on your property for the amount of the $7,500 for a 5-year term. All you have to do is live on the property for 5 years as the primary residence. But if you sell the home or lease it out or transfer the title to anyone else, or it's foreclosed, then a repayment of the amount that was left on the 5 years would have to be repaid. So 5 years, that's not very long to live in a home, and that will go by quick, and then the lien would be removed and you would not have to repay any of the debt. Okay, next. So refinancing during the 5-year residency period, the UPCAP, you may refinance only if it's for a better interest rate and term. No home equity loans or cash out or cash back. Refinancing the loans are allowed. And if that does happen again, you would have to repay for the time that was remaining of the 5 years. Okay, next slide. Oh, I did that quick. I felt like I was running, was I? But again, let me just reiterate about our services too. Again, we have all of the education classes and counseling that is required by our down payment assistance. And if you don't use our assistance, that's okay. You still can use our education and our classes, and they're all free, and we do them in English and Spanish. And we're real excited about our virtual classes. A lot of people are really enjoying those because they are more convenient and we can reach a lot more people at a time. So I thank y'all. And if you have any questions, I know they're going to give out our information.
Okay, already on it, Miss Regina. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Regina. So Regina and Dallas County Home Loan Counseling Center's contact info will be dropped again in the chat. So make sure that you go in there and copy paste that, screenshot it if you're watching on your phone, and call them up. Call them up. Give them a call. Like Regina mentioned, we've got a couple of questions that have come through the chat regarding homebuyer education. Okay, we'll talk about this in the Q&A session as well, but I want you all to know that you are welcome to complete the homebuyer education class, both with Dallas Habitat or the Dallas County Home Loan Counseling Center. These are universal courses. No matter what HUD certified counseling agency you complete them at, they are valid for 12 months. So if you've already completed it at one agency and you're interested in working with one of us, we will honor that certificate. Regina,
Yes.
thank you for being here today. We'll see you back.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, our next presenter, again, moving from high level to more local. We are so pleased to welcome our fantastic partner over at the City of Dallas, Ms. Tammy Southall. She is the Housing Program Manager at the city, and she and her team administer the Dallas Homebuyer Assistance Program, also known as DHAP. Ms. Tammy, welcome. So glad to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. I'm really excited to share the information that we have, especially some recently new information. So we'll get started. I'm going to share my screen. So today we're going to talk about the background and history of the program, its purpose, the applicant requirements, property requirements, our funding determination and requirements, and how to apply with us. Next screen. So the City of Dallas has actually provided homebuyer assistance for over 30 years. We are here to increase availability for affordable housing opportunities and to help support neighborhoods and community-based preservations and revitalization efforts. Next screen. Our purpose here is to provide homeownership opportunities for low to moderate income families by assisting with down payment, closing costs, and principal reductions for home purchases in the city limits of Dallas. And also we want to help stabilize neighborhoods. Next screen. So the applicant requirements. So for an applicant, you must be a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, or an eligible immigration status with a valid Social Security card. Applicants must have a projected annual household income at or below 120% of the area median income for Dallas. Employed home buyers must have a continuous employment history for the past 6 months. Self-employed applicants should provide previous 2 years tax returns. And then our income determination is valid for 6 months. Side note here, the DHAP program has a collection of 3 different types of assistance programs, and the household income does vary. Again, the income is based on the household size. So next screen, please. The applicants are required to live in the house as their primary homestead. You have to qualify for a 30-year amortizing fixed rate mortgage from an approved mortgage lender. We do have a list available on our website of about 20 to 25 different banks and mortgage companies who've been approved to work with our program, have acceptable credit, so we don't work with any type of high cost subprime loans, adjustable rate mortgages, interest only loans. And the lenders must establish an escrow account for your taxes and insurance. You are required to take a homebuyer counseling course within a 12-month period of the application. You may do so in person or online. And the course provided has to be a HUD certified counseling agency. This program does require the applicants to invest a minimum of $1,000 toward the purchase of the property. So money you should put down for earnest money. If you pay for an appraisal out of pocket, we will count those to make meeting that minimum cash investment toward the purchase of your home. You are required to have at least 2 months reserves in liquid assets after closings. So 2 months reserves being whatever your monthly mortgage payment is determined to be. We need to see that you're going to have at least 2 months of that in savings or checking account. And then you're allowed to have up to $10,000 in liquid assets. Any assets above $10,000, you have to put toward the purchase of the home. Next slide, please. So as I previously mentioned, there are 3 extensions of our program. We have our traditional DHAP program, which is a federally funded program. This program is available for households with annual incomes at or below 80% of the area median income. The maximum funding available, if you purchase in a high opportunity area, Those are areas in the city of Dallas where the poverty rates are at or below 20%. You can actually be available up to $60,000 in assistance. Anywhere else in Dallas, and this is new, the amount of assistance that you may be available to access is up to $50,000 in assistance. Because these are federally funded, this is a federally funded program, there is a sales price limit in place here. Right now, the sales price limit is $271,000, and that's for either an existing property or a new construction. These limits do change annually, and we do anticipate a new limit to be published this summer, possibly in June. So check back with us. Our assistance is considered a deferred forgivable interest-free loan with forgiveness occurring annually with the residency terms of the loan or the affordability period. And we'll talk about that in a second. Partial payment is due upon sale, lease, or any disposition of the property prior to meeting the affordability period. So the affordability periods stand as this. Any amount of assistance received under $15,000, there's a 5-year affordability period. So you have to live in the property for at least 5 years, and it's totally forgiven. If you happen to move before meeting that 5-year affordability period, you are responsible for paying back the remaining balance of that loan. Assistance of $15,000 to $40,000 has a 10-year affordability period. And then any assistance above $40,000 has a 15-year affordability period. Next slide. Okay. Then we have our Targeted Occupations Homebuyer Assistance Program. This program is available for those who work in the community. So we're looking at those are in occupations of educational instruction, librarian services, healthcare support and technical positions, and protective services to include police, fire, sheriff's department, if you're a security officer, or if you're a jailer at a prison, any type of protective service position, these occupations would qualify for this particular assistance. This particular program allows for those higher income earners, which those occupations generally are. So your anticipated annual income has to be above 80% of the area median income, but not more than 120%. The maximum amount of assistance available is up to $50,000, which is new as well. With this particular program, there is no sales price limit. So the sales price is going to be determined by the mortgage lender based on the borrower's mortgage qualifying income and credit. The only caveat is the housing payment may not exceed 35% of the borrower's monthly gross income. It has a 5-year affordability period. It is also considered a deferred forgivable loan with forgiveness occurring annually. So again, you have to live in the home at least 5 years for it to be totally forgiven. If you don't meet the affordability period, if it is sold or leased or any disposition, the balance of the loan is due and payable to the city. Next slide. Okay, this is a brand new program that City Council just approved this past week. It's an anti-displacement homebuyer assistance program. We're targeting applicants who are current residents of the city of Dallas who may be looking outside of the city for affordable housing options. So with this particular program, we want to keep them in the city of Dallas. So you have to be a current resident of the city of Dallas and have lived in the city for at least a period of 10 years. And it doesn't have to be consecutive 10 years. So just a collective period of 10 years residency within the city of Dallas. The household income, again, has to be, must be at least 50% of the area median income, but not more than 120% of the area median income. The amount of assistance available is up to $50,000. Again, with this program, there is no sales price limit. Again, the sales price will be determined by the mortgage lender based on the borrower's mortgage qualifying income and credit. And again, the housing payment may not exceed 35% of the borrower's monthly gross income. It has a 5-year affordability period as well. Live in the house for 5 years, it is totally forgiven. If it is sold or leased or any disposition of the property prior to meeting that 5-year affordability period, the balance of the loan will be due and payable to the city. Next slide, please. Okay, this is an income chart as of June of last year. We do, the incomes do change annually. We do anticipate a new chart to be published in June of this year. So based on household size, I've listed what the income limit is at 50%, at 80% AMI, and 120% AMI. So if you're looking at the traditional DHAP program, your household income must be at or below 80% AMI. So you want to look at that middle column there. So if your income is at or below that number, you can possibly qualify for the traditional DHAP program. With a targeted occupations program, your income has to be above 80%, but not more than 120% AMI. So you're going to look at both that middle and that last column. So let's say household size of 2. If your income is above 62,350, but not more than 93,504, you can possibly qualify for this program. With the anti-displacement program, the income is between 50 and 120% of the AMI. So for your household size of 2, again, if you make at least 39,000, but not more than 93,504, you can qualify for this program. Next. Talk a little bit about the property requirements. So again, the purchase property must be located within the city limits of Dallas. On our website, there is a map available where you can actually search a specific address to see if it is within the city of Dallas. There are some areas of the city that borderline other counties. And if there's a question about it, what you want to do is to look to see where the city taxes are paid. If the city taxes are paid to the city of Dallas, then that property is eligible for our program. The properties must appraise for at least 100% of the sales price, and it can be a single family, detached structure, a condominium, a townhome, or a 1 to 4 unit development. Properties can be occupied by the owner or the borrower. If it is tenant occupied, and that tenant is not buying that unit, the owners may not enter into a contract for a period of at least 60 days after that tenant vacates the property. Okay. If the borrower is living in the property and they want to purchase that property, that is fine. Additional property requirements. Every property that goes through this program has to meet the city's minimum housing standards. That includes lead-based paint regulations at the time of closing. So inspections will occur during the option period of the sales contract. Repairs deemed needed must be completed prior to closing. Now with this, the city will send out housing inspectors to go out and do this inspection. Any repairs that are deemed needed, of course, those repairs have to be completed prior to closing. We do recommend to our borrowers to hire their own inspector to do more detailed inspections. That would be at the cost of that borrower, but it is not a recommendation of this. It is not a requirement of this program, but it is highly recommended. But we will send out a city inspector to do a minimum standards inspection on the property to make sure that it is safe and decent for the buyer to move into. So we'll provide you a pamphlet on how to watch out for lead-based paint. We'll give you that information. And then the borrower will also deliver to the seller a notice to real property owner form. That form, the seller is going to tell us what they feel their market value is of the property they're selling. And they're also going to certify that if it is a tenant occupied unit, or if it was a tenant occupied unit, that it was vacant 60 days prior to the execution of the sales contract. Okay, next slide, please. HUD properties built after January 1st of 1978 are eligible for DHAP subsidy. However, HUD properties must meet all DHAP guidelines, and any required repairs must be completed prior to submission of the DHAP loan. Now, we know with HUD properties, they do not allow for repairs prior to closing. repairs can only be done after closing. So if you are looking at a HUD property, that property has to be in 100% great condition in order for it to go through this program where there's no repairs needed. And then FHA 203K loans, which are home repair loans, are not eligible for DHAP funding. Now, when it comes to funding determination and requirements, so the actual amount of assistance will be based on need as determined by the sales price, an approved mortgage loan, and the closing cost. So we do require preliminary closing disclosures from the mortgage lender to provide us an estimate of all the closing costs, which includes the lender fees, title fees, escrows, and prepays, and any applicable credits. So that way we will take a look at that. We'll do a calculation to determine the exact need of the buyer for closing. Our underwriting guidelines require that the primary mortgage loan meets the following ratios. So our housing expense ratio, which is what your mortgage payment is going to be, that housing expense ratio to your income cannot be more than 35% of your monthly gross income. Then we have our total debt to income ratio, which is your housing payment plus any other monthly obligations that you have. Those combined together cannot exceed 45% of your monthly gross income. Next slide, please. Our home buyers are required to sign home buyer written agreements for the assistance provided. These agreements are basically it's a loan agreement between the home buyer and the city of Dallas. It will outline how much assistance that buyers will receive, what the affordability periods are, and all the other requirements needed to receive the assistance provided by the city. The loans are secured by a second lien placed on the property, and funding is provided at closing at an approved title company. Source of funding for these programs are through two of the federal programs, which is the Home Investment Partnership program, and also the Community Development Block Grant program. And then we use general funds to fund our targeted occupations and the anti-displacement program. Next slide, please. Subsidies are subject to fund availability on a first come, first served basis. Acceptance of an application for DHAP in no way constitutes a commitment or obligation on the part of the city. No commitment is made or implied until the city of Dallas has approved funding for each application. And due to funding limitations, no applicant should assume any commitment, even when an applicant must expend personal funds to meet application requirements. Next slide, please. So pre-qualification is required for this program. Our website there listed, dallascityhall.com/DHAP. On our homepage, toward the middle of the page, you'll see a section on how to apply. Again, the income will be based on household income. There is a link with a list of documents that you'll need to provide for us to make that income determination. And then our application is an online process. There is a link to our Neighborly software system where you go in and submit your application, and you're able to actually upload your income documents for us to review for income determination. So if you have any questions, just feel free to give us a call, and that's our number that listed there.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. That was amazing. Always really great information, but particularly this week, y'all, with the changes that, as Ms. Tammy talked about, were just approved by the Dallas City Council this week. This is phenomenal news. If you are an existing resident of Dallas, this is excellent information if you are in one of these special occupations that Ms. Tammy mentioned. And if you're unsure, we've seen a lot of questions come through in the chat box and Q&A about, well, what about this occupation? What about that occupation? Our top suggestion is to reach out. You've seen a special occupation designation in multiple programs, right, that we've discussed today. So if you have questions, reach out to Ms. Tammy, reach out to the others to verify if your occupation would make you eligible. Ms. Tammy, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you back in just a few. I want to welcome our next presenter. I'm getting questions in the chat about, Blaine, is this program DHAP only for City of Dallas or Dallas County? So just a reminder, DHAP is only City of Dallas. Great news. We've got a couple of other cities here that we know are in hot demand here in the Metroplex, Irving being one of those cities. Could not be more excited to welcome our next presenter, Mr. Micah Sutton, the outreach coordinator for the city of Irving. Micah, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, our pleasure.
Hello, everyone. I'm Micah Sutton. I'm the outreach coordinator for the Housing and Redevelopment Division with the city of Irving. What I want to go over today is just some of our programs that are our DPA program that we have available here in the city of Irving. Benefits and responsibilities of our program is to assist and provide qualified families in the form of a deferred forgivable loan, which is a loan that does not require repayment as long as the borrower complies with the minimum requirements of the program. So basically what that means is if you show us that you paid your mortgage, your insurance, a mortgage insurance, and taxes. It's the mortgage, taxes, and insurance. If you show us proof of that, then each year a certain amount will be deducted off your loan until that amount is paid in full. The applicants must be qualified for mortgage from our pre-approved lenders. We do have a list of lenders that you can use to get our services. To become eligible for assistance, first thing you must do is log onto our website, cityofirving.org/567, and that'll take you directly to our DPA program. And then on that website, there is a orientation video for you to watch. And that would explain in detail a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you today, and even answer some questions that I may not be able to share with you today, that I may not answer today. But that's how you start, is going through the home buyers orientation. Once you're approved, you look for a purchase home in Irving. Now, our program is specifically for Irving residents. You do not have to live in Irving currently to apply for our services. If you're looking to move to Irving, we can help you with additional $50,000, up to $50,000 of move-in down payment assistance. Again, like everyone else, you must attend a home buyer class. You must be a legal resident, and you must be able to secure mortgage approval. There are HUD income guidelines that we go by, and here's just a quick look at what we have for those guidelines. So like others explain, the same scenario, that would be the income guidelines. So if you see yourself in your family size under one of these maximum incomes, please come and see us and apply. Supporting documents, complete the application form with the required signatures, valid ID for everyone in the home that is over 18. Of course, that could be a driver's license, passport, resident alien card, proof of citizenship, legal residence, household. So we need your social security cards, things like that. Birth certificates for all children under the age of 18, and birth certificates and social security cards for all children under 18. The mortgage pre-approval from a city preferred lender. Like I said, we do have our preferred lenders list that we do have, and on that website, we can get you that information as well. Also have a copy of the last 3 paycheck stubs for all working members 18 and older in the home. Here's some more information. Like everyone else, you need the verification of any sources of income. Anybody enrolled in school, we would like that information as well. Complete copies of your most recent bank statements, the last 6 months consecutively. Last 2 years of tax returns, including the W-2 forms for everyone working in the home that's over 18. A divorce decree if that's applicable, and most recent 401k statement. Here's some frequently asked questions. How much assistance can we get? Again, like I said, we can give up to $50,000, just depending on what you're approved for. How long does it take when the process, how long does it, I can't even speak, I'm sorry, y'all. How long does the process take, and will I know how much I'm qualified for? The process takes 40 to 60 days from the time of the completed application to the persistence of approval. Are there any standards for a home to be purchased under the program? The home must pass an initial home quality standards inspection, which is required like many other programs. Let's see. And let's see. Do I need money to? Do I need my own money to purchase a home? I'm sorry, I can't read. This is yes, you would need about $1,500 of your own money to bring when it's time for closing. And then the last one I have here is, can this program help me with my monthly mortgage payments and other housing expenses? No, we do not help with monthly mortgage payments or other expenses, but we can help with down payment and closing costs and things of that nature. So I know my time was short and sweet, but if you have any questions, here's how you can reach us. We are in the City of Irving City Hall in the Housing Redevelopment Division. We're on the first floor. This is our main number here, the 972-721-4800. And then you can also look on the website again, www.cityofirving.org/567 for any other questions and to apply and anything else that you may need.
Micah, thank you. Amazing. If you all are thinking about potentially buying in the city of Irving, this is a phenomenal program. Be sure to check it out. We are dropping Micah's contact info in the chat box now. So be sure to send him information on, your interest in the program if you're interested in getting started. Micah, thank you so much. We'll see you back in just a few minutes. Our next presenter is with the City of Mesquite. We've got Miss Sandra Rangel Lopez. Sandra is the CDBG coordinator for the City of Mesquite, and she is here to share about the City of Mesquite's down payment assistance program. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you, Blaine. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very glad to be here today. As Blaine mentioned, my name is Sandra Lopez, and I'm with the City of Mesquite, and I oversee the down payment assistance program here. And today I'll be presenting over our down payment assistance program. You will hear that I refer to it as DPA, just an FYI. And I have a brief overview, so we'll go ahead and get started. So our DPA program is fully funded by our Community Development Block Grant. And so, my notes are not, okay, which is also known as HUD. And so we do receive CDBG funds on an annual basis. And so a portion of the funds that we do receive are allocated to our DPA program. Now, because of the way that the program is financially structured, we do serve based on a first come, first served basis. So once all funds have been expended, then the applicant would have to wait until the following fiscal year to be able to apply for the program. So if this is something that you're considering buying a home in the near future, definitely my tip to you would be to give me a call beforehand and just ensure that we do have funds available. Our program is slightly smaller than most of the cities that have presented. So that is my tip to you. So our down payment assistance program, its mission is to provide low to moderate income families with homeownership opportunities. And the assistance that you do receive can be applied towards either your down payment or your closing costs. Now, the type of assistance that the City of Mesquite does provide is 50% of the total down payment and or closing costs not to exceed $10,000. So to give you an example, let's say that your down payment requirement is of $20,000. Well, City of Mesquite can provide 50%, so that would be $10,000. However, let's say that your down payment requirement was $25,000. Well, then 50% of that we know is $12,500. However, in this situation, we would only be able to cover $10,000 because we would not be able to exceed our $10,000 limits. So definitely keep that in mind. And I hope that makes sense. However, if you have any more questions, I will be providing my information at the end of this presentation. All right, so moving on to applicant eligibility. So these are the 5 basic eligibility requirements in order to be considered for the program. You do have to be a first-time home buyer. So you have not, meaning you cannot have owned a home within the last 3 years. You do have to meet the debt to income ratios. And I'm not sure if a lot of you are familiar with these terms or not, but just to give you a quick definition, your front-end ratio is a person's mortgage expense compared to the monthly gross income. And so for Mesquite, you do have to be at or 33% at or below. And then your back-end ratio, also known as your debt to income ratio, looks at your monthly debts. And you do have to be at 45% or lower than that. Third requirement, you do have to obtain a home buyer education certificate. And on our website, we do have a list of a couple agencies that do provide the certificate. And I believe also Habitat provides this, and I think a couple other agencies that presented today do so as well. So definitely take advantage of that. And the certificate is valid for 1 year from the date that you receive it. Now, you also have to be able to provide proof of your legal status, whether you're a U.S. citizen, a resident, DACA recipient, as long as you're able to provide proof. You also have to meet income requirements. I'm going to go ahead and move forward to our HUD income limits chart here. So what you see on top here is the number of people in the household, which I know you guys have seen this already, but just to give you a quick example. So if you are a family of 5, you would have to be, to be considered 80% or below, you would have to earn $84,150 or below for the year. Now, keep in mind that we do count everyone who is in the household. So that includes maybe have an older son or daughter who is living at home and is working a part-time job. We would also take that into account. So just be ready to provide their information as well. And then there are also property requirements, and these are just a few of them that I think are the most important to outline here. So the property does have to be located within the Mesquite city limits, but only within Mesquite if you want to apply for this particular program. It does have to be a single family residence, and the property does have to be vacant 90 days before purchasing the property. We also require that the property passes an inspection. So the city of Mesquite will send out an inspector to go out there and conduct an inspection, but we also require the Texas Real Estate Commission inspection to be conducted. Our inspectors here will conduct the inspection a few days prior to closing. And we would get in contact with you and kind of figure all that out for a day. Now, it also has to be your primary residence. So you have to confirm that you intend to occupy the property as your primary residence. And we also conduct an annual recertification each year just to confirm that you are still living in the property. Now, there is a 5-year affordability period that does apply if you do receive this assistance. Now, in cases where you decide to move or sell, whatever the case may be, we do prorate that amount based on the number of years that you live there. And I can go in depth more about that if you give me a call or you reach out. But that would be the time that I can provide that. Now, liens will be released according to loan terms, and that's just more in depth. And I will add in here, we do have a guide that goes more in depth on everything. So if you are interested in obtaining that guide, I'll be glad to send that over to you. Just reach out to me. Just some additional information outlined here, kind of like the loan type that we do accept: FHA, VA, conventional mortgages. They have to be at a fixed rate, 30 years or less. And then we also have what we do not accept, which are the adjusted rate mortgages, buy downs, balloons, etc. Other grants and gift funds. So we do allow you to use other grants, and we also allow you to use other gifts as well, as long as they don't duplicate with the down payment assistance program. we ask that you provide this in writing to myself beforehand. And we also ask that it does not exceed, that the gifts do not exceed 6% of the total sales price. So when looking at that, if you have a friend, a family member who might be contributing to gifts in this way, just check in with us before and put that in writing so we have that ahead of time and we know how to plan moving forward. Okay, so we have the checklist here. This checklist, you can find it on our website. It's going to be on page 2 of our application. So what it is everything that you're going to need to submit to see if you're eligible for the program. A lot of these documents your lender is already going to be collecting from you. So a lot of the times we tend to work with the lender directly as they send everything over to us. However, it doesn't have to be that way. If you feel more comfortable and you want to work directly with me, we can also do that as well. A lot of the documents that we will be requesting are bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, some of your most basic documents. And then down here, you will find my email, phone number, and all that information. So this is located, this is page 2 of our application. So here's a quick overview of what the process looks like. So number 1, you have to attend a home buyer education course. Once you get that certificate, you can go ahead and submit it over to myself. I am the one who works in this program. So it's a very small program here with the City of Mesquite. Contact your lender, make sure you get pre-qualified, pre-approved. Then your lender can contact me to get more information about the requirements of the program and so on. I'm also willing to talk to you, the client. And then once you contact a realtor, you have a house. That's kind of where we kind of step in. You get ready, you submit your application. The processing time does not take very long. It's 5 to 10 days turnaround time. But you do have to have an executed sales contract in place because we will be looking at the ratios. And so make sure you take that into consideration. So do all these steps first. And then once you're kind of getting closer to the end, get your application ready, submit your documentation, and we go from there. So that's pretty much it. You can find all of our information on our website, City of Mesquite Down Payment Assistance Program. And you will also find my contact information there. Yeah, and so applications can be submitted via email, and they can also be mailed to Housing and Community Services Department. That is all that I have today, but I definitely encourage you all to apply or to even just inquire about the program. We do have funding available right now, and I will say that it's a pretty easy process to go through. I know the home buying process can be a little longer and expensive at times, but our program is not too difficult, so I encourage you all to look into it. And if you have doubts or just questions, reach out to me. Thank you.
Sandra, thank you so much. Mesquite is an area that we have a ton of interest in with the buyers that we work with here at Dallas Habitat. So excited that you were able to join us here today. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have gotten a ton of questions throughout today's event about this is great info if I'm looking for Dallas or Dallas County, but what about cities like Plano? So as our final presenter today, I am so excited to welcome Ms. Sandra Ottinger, who is with the City of Plano and their first time buyers program. Ms. Sandra, so excited to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Blaine. And I'm so happy to be here. I just want to start out by saying thank you to you and your team for putting this event together. It really, for all of you on the call, considering home buying, this is probably, I'm going to say it, the event of the year, right? I feel like this is the most important first step you could have taken, and just being able to join this today, learn about all of the partners that are out there, all of the resources, because it is overwhelming. And often, we'll hear from friends and family and, everybody has an opinion, but here you have such wealth of information that's being shared. I hope you all have learned something. I know myself, myself, I mean, I am in it, right? And I have been taking notes all day long. So I will say I have found it very valuable and I'm so thrilled to be a part of it. So again, just wanted to mention that to you, Blaine and team. Again, as she mentioned, I'm Sandra Ottinger with the City of Plano, and it's my honor to be here and talk a little bit to you about the City of Plano and our first-time homebuyers program. At the City of Plano, we really are community focused, and our residents and prospective residents have such high priority to us. We are here to serve and to serve our community. When this program was set up, we had some goals in mind. The first was to reinforce our commitment to creating livable and sustainable communities, right? Vital neighborhoods and exciting urban centers. What that means is that we really want people to love living in the City of Plano. We know how much of our day is spent for home, at our homes for our families and ourselves. And the City of Plano wants to do everything it can to really make those communities vital. Part of that process is going to be making homeownership available to everyone, including low to moderate income households. We really wanted to be focused on preserving existing affordable housing in addition to creating new affordable housing in our community. And then the last part of that is going to be providing education so that we can help equip buyers with the knowledge to buy. So again, many different ways. It can be through the City of Plano or one of the other partners you learned about today. But before you buy, again, and I know so many have said it before me, but this is the biggest financial decision you'll probably make in your lives, right? We want to make sure that you know everything you need to know about buying, the budgeting part with money, what your credit needs to look like, and the importance and how a strong credit score can maybe leverage and help that buying power for you. Home inspections and how important it is to have the property you're purchasing inspected to protect you on the investment that you're buying, insurance, lending, and so many different things we also cover in our education. And I know that many of our partners, including Dallas Area Habitat, include that in their education programs. So what we offer, again, to help buyers, and this is whether you live in the City of Plano now or you're thinking of living here. Again, don't have to already live in Plano to take advantage of our education. The first that everyone likes to know about is the money, and that's going to come under our down payment and closing cost assistance program. Our funds for the City of Plano are provided to us from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or what you've heard of is probably HUD. Many people have heard the term HUD. We get two different sources of funds from HUD. The Community Development Block Grant, as well as a Home Investment Partnerships Program. And I'm going to talk to you about each of those today. Our homebuyer education class is also offered even if you're not buying in Plano. So if you're going to purchase in Plano, awesome. If you decide or if you're considering on other areas, you can still take our education program. It's completely free of charge. And we do offer that via Zoom every third Saturday of the month. It's a 4-hour class and it goes from 8:30 to 12:30. One thing I do want to mention is that we are not HUD certified. So this class is going to be something that's important if you want to use our down payment assistance and closing costs program. Other cities may accept it, but it is not an official, HUD funded or a HUD certified program. So that is important to note. We provide an overview of the home buying process to you, and of course, want to do what we can to set you up on the path to home ownership. So funding, let's talk about the money part of it. So the two programs, again, are the Community Development Block Grant and the Home Investment Partnership. Our first program is going to offer up to $10,000. This is considered a 0%, and we have here 0 APR, but it's a 0 interest loan. We don't have any fees associated with our loan. And like many of the presenters you've heard before, it's considered a deferred forgivable loan. Deferred means you don't make any monthly payments on it. So when you're speaking with a lender and they're talking about what's making up your monthly mortgage payment, and they're calculating and looking at how much income do you make compared to what monthly payment you can afford, you're not going to need to count in or factor any kind of a monthly payment for the loan with the City of Plano. It is considered a second mortgage, though. So what that means is that we're going to put a lien on the property because we have an interest in the property as well as you. You're going to have your main financing, so your big loan in place by lenders such as those that have presented here today, and then ours would be an additional or a second mortgage. For the community development block grant loan, there is a 5-year lien on the property. And then our home investment partnership, loan can be up to $55,000. So this is the one everyone looks at. What I'm going to tell you now is that during your approval process, we're going to approve you for both of these. And then we're going to talk about kind of pros and cons. You're going to tell us which one you prefer, depending on the program. So just know that you don't need to know going into it which one of these you want. We're going to work with you, and that's where our expertise comes in to educate you and talk to you about the programs. The second program, again, in addition to offering $55,000 or up to $55,000, depending on need, is also a zero interest loan, forgivable and deferred. Deferred meaning that no monthly payments on it. Forgivable meaning at a point in the future, it could go away and be forgiven where you never have to pay it back. There are going to be requirements on both of these programs for that. The higher loan here, the one that goes up to $55,000 under home, will require a 15-year lien or up to 15-year lien on the property. So let's talk just a little bit more about these. So option one, the 5-year lien on the property up to $10,000. We are going to forgive this at a rate. So just by living in the home as your primary residence, they call that owner occupied, but you're living there as your primary home. Every year that you're in the home as your primary home, we're going to forgive 20%. So over 5 years, there's going to be a step. So after year 1, we forgive 20%. Year 2, forgive 20%, and so on. So that at the end of 5 years, this $10,000 is completely forgiven. It goes away. You don't pay it back. Like some of the other programs that you have heard about today, if you wind up selling your home, or maybe you move away and you turn it into a rental property, if that occurs before the 5 years is up, then a portion of those funds, whatever's remaining, would need to be repaid in full. So we're not going to charge you interest or any penalties on that money, but we say, hey, you weren't there for 5 years. Our idea was to get you in the home and let you have a place to live for at least 5 years. If you don't satisfy that requirement, we just ask that you pay back whatever's remaining. And again, there's no interest on that, and there aren't any fees associated with it. Our second program, again, just a little more details on home here. One thing to note on this is this can be up to a 15-year lien on the property based on that. And that 15-year, basically the amount of time for the lien is going to be dependent upon how much money you're receiving under the program. If you're maxing out at like $45,000, $55,000 on the high end of the program, we know that's a very generous amount, which we need in Plano. I think we need all around, but it's a big amount. We want you to have a higher commitment to the home. And so again, we're putting more money into this on behalf of the city because we want you there, but at the same time, we want that commitment. So if in this program you sell your home or move out within the first 15 years, we are going to ask that you pay it back entirely. This program is not forgiven on a monthly or an annual basis like the other program is. But again, if you're looking for long-term home ownership, you want to be in one place and stay for a while, this is a lot of money. And at the end of that 15 years, it's forgiven. Again, zero interest, zero fees charged on it. Worst case scenario, if you wind up paying it back, say you're there 10 years, you use that money for free this whole time, and you have that equity that you've built up and it helped you to attain home ownership. The amount of assistance in this program is going to be based on need, and that is income driven, which we will follow HUD guidelines are. And we do ask that the home buyer contribute a minimum of $1,000, and that can be towards down payment or closing cost. All right. So qualifying for our program, the maximum purchase price that we're allowed to use on this program is up to $418,000. An important item to note is that the property must be located in the city of Plano. That doesn't mean Forney, McKinney, Frisco, Dallas. Plano's Plano. So it needs to fall under Plano taxes, Collin County, Plano zip code. We do ask that you're a first-time home buyer, meaning that you haven't owned in the last 3 years. Assets should be at $36,000 or less. Because bottom line is, if you've got $100,000 in your savings account, you probably don't need our help to buy a house. You've got enough money to do it. Our target is to help those that can afford the monthly payment, but just can't come up with $10, $20, $50, $1,000 to be able to get into a home. We do look for a minimum credit score of 620 or above. We're going to look for you to have no collections or judgments unless they're paid off prior to closing. The same with federal debts or back taxes. Those would need to be taken care of. We will look for you to be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. The income limits that we've talked about and we've shared on some prior slides, I will show you in a moment and pull up a chart for you. There can't be any co-signers, meaning that we can't have someone say, well, I'm purchasing the home, but my brother who lives, in another state wants to co-sign for me. We don't allow that. So only parties that are going to be living in the home would be eligible. We do have debt to income ratio restrictions. And by that, we're going to look to make sure that it's an affordable payment for you when we qualify you, and we're going to compare your income and your debts when we do that. We're going to ask that you're also educated. So we want you to attend a home buyer education class, again, one of ours or a HUD certified, like many of those on today's call. We're also going to look for you to have some one-on-one counseling with a HUD-approved counseling agency to really go over budget and credit and the important financial part of getting you qualified and ready for home ownership. We do not offer cash back at closing. And we're going to ask that after you close, you have cash reserves, or meaning that you've got money in the bank after you're in the house, that there's at least one monthly payment sitting there that you didn't touch to get into the home. Because we don't want you moving in and then I can't even make my first payment because I used every dollar I had. We want at least one monthly payment there that you have left over when it's said and done. So the chart showing for you here is similar to what you've seen from others. You'll see many of the same numbers. And the reason why is that this is a published chart by HUD of household income limits. These do change annually, usually. And so that's something that you'll just want to stay involved with your housing counselor, especially if you're really close to either going over, or maybe if the limits were to go up, you may qualify. It would be important to stay on top of these numbers. The importance here, we have a 60%, which you'll see is less money, 60% area median income, and then a maximum allowance up to 80%. Don't feel like you have to memorize all of this. We're going to look at your income for you. Excuse me. Forgive me, you all. It's the weather here. I have severe seasonal allergies, so forgive me. But we're going to look at your income for you and help you qualify for that. But just know that anything up to 80% is what you're going to be looking at for qualifying. And then depending on where you fall on this scale will determine the amount of assistance you can receive. Excuse me. For the property, as I noticed before, so we're going to qualify you as a person, and then we're also going to look at what property you're looking to purchase. It does need to be in Plano, maximum price up to $418,000. It can be a condo, a townhome, or a single family residence. We're going to look for the home to be in good repair condition, and that's something that by having an inspection done, you're going to know. It can be vacant or owner occupied before you purchase it. If the home is a rental currently, it is It could be, but a current rental property would not be eligible. The house needs to have a smoke and carbon monoxide detector. We're going to require an inspection on the property, and then the city is also going to inspect it on your behalf. And then I have resources for you. So again, today was just to give you an overview so that if this sparks an interest and you think, hey, I'm considering buying in the city of Plano, I would recommend that you visit our website and actually check out all of the details, what the program entails, what documents you're going to need to give us to qualify, and the online application. We also have a link to sign up for our first-time homebuyers class directly on our website. My contact information is there as well. The only other item is that I have some other resources here. Now I'll be, of course, adding Dallas Area Habitat because I think you're an awesome resource, and some of our other partners from today. But one thing I wanted to mention is that once you are in the city of Plano and you purchase your home, I have links here to our Great Update rebate and our housing rehab program, because we also have to kind of sustain that homeownership and to help with that process. Our Great Update rebate will help if you put money into your home to update the property. Some of those may be eligible, some of those expenses that you spend to fix up your home, exterior and interior, you may be able to get a rebate back from the city that's money. And likewise, if you need help doing it, say you're in a home for a couple of years, you had your inspection done, and now you need help with your HVAC or getting the roof replaced. We have a rehab program where funds are available to help our residents to maintain their homes once they're there. And that's it for me today. I know our contact information will be shared. And like I said, you can also visit our website, and I appreciate your time.
Okay, Miss Sandra, well, you're going to stick on with us because we are now at the end of the presentation. And I'm really excited to welcome all of our panelists back on. So while everyone's turning their screen, turning the camera, back on and unmuting themselves, I want to let our audience know we are so thankful for all the questions that you dropped in the chat for us. We have selected a few of those that we haven't already gotten to and answered for group discussion here today. So a couple of things I want to get through. I know we are limited on time, so we're going to get through as many of these as we possibly can. I want to begin with sort of a fundamental question about working with the right partners. I want to start by pitching this question, if y'all don't mind, Alejandro and Daniel, to you all as lenders who are working in this space. Can you all talk to us a little bit about the importance of building the right home buying team as a home buyer if you think that you might be interested in using something like a down payment assistance program? Why is that so important?
Yeah, I mean, so as you heard, there's a lot of assistance out there that's available, right? I think it's important that you work with a lender, not only a lender, but a loan officer that understands these programs. There's just so many nuances to every single one because every single one has a different parameter, different guidelines, and you have to make sure that that fits within the actual mortgage part. And of course, you want to make sure that the mortgage fits in with that program's guidelines. So, having an expert that understands the ins and outs of these type of programs is going to make the process, I think, way easier, a lot smoother. And those of us who do this kind of work, we understand our clients. We understand, the process that they're going through, the feelings that they're feeling, the thoughts that they're having. So we can kind of help you guide through that process. So not only with the loan officer, Alejandro is great. I know he's been at this for a long time, used to work with him. We've been at this for so long that we kind of just fall right into knowing exactly what we need to do and working with your real estate partner that understands these programs, understands the ins and outs of it. And I think that's very, very important. As again, there's just so many great programs out there. You have to have somebody that understands how these programs work together with your financing.
Thanks, Daniel.
Hello. I agree with Daniel. I like not getting technical, but I think for the response, I have to get technical in the sense that when you work with a team that's aware and that has the knowledge as to what it is that we need to do, we're working in a proactive environment. And what I mean by that is that both real estate agents and the lender, they're going to know what to expect before it's requested. So we're working ahead of time just to be sure that we have the complete package and that we've addressed what we need to address beforehand. Whereas of me, you know, it happened to me. I'm not using anybody else as an example, but I'm using me. When I started using these programs, I would sell the heck out of these programs because they're great, but I didn't know the technicalities of it. And what would happen is that mid-course, I'm running around trying to collect items, trying to tell the client, hey, you know what came up? Hey, you know what came up? And it's not that it came up. It's just that it was always there. It was just not the time for it to pop up. And that's what I mean, that if you are working with a team that has the knowledge and that has the passion, that's the other thing, that they have to love what they do. And they have to understand the difficulties that it is owning a home, right? So both things, the knowledge and the passion, it'll really help you out in the long run, that you will have folks that are proactively working for you and looking out for you realistically. So it is very valuable. Shop around. It is a relationship. If you don't feel right, something feels funny, hey, go with someone else. It's okay. You have to be happy while you're working with the individual.
That's so right. Thank you so much, Alejandro and Daniel. And I would just add to that, I think as well, you know, working with the right home buying team, as Daniel mentioned, like specifically the right loan officer, the right realtor, the right housing counselor as well, is going to ensure that it is a seamless and smooth and quick process. I saw some questions coming into the chat earlier about, you know, are there stigmas attached to buyers that are utilizing down payment assistance programs? And I think, again, this goes back to using the right team and making sure that it is just a very smooth process. And if anyone has anything to, you know, add to that, please feel free to come off of mute.
I'll jump in. This is Lisa from TDHCA. Thank you, Alejandro and Daniel, for that. We recommend that the home buyers do shop, or I hate that word, shop around, but speak to several loan officers and see if they communicate in the way that you need them to communicate. Are they knowledgeable? Do they care about you? Are they answering your phone call? Like it sounds weird, but there are some basics to the home buyer getting what they need, and some people are more caring, and really the best loan officers like these that are here today take the time to figure out what's best for the borrower. And it could be any one of our products, it could be none of ours, but they're there to help the borrower. And that takes some time to find the right person. So take the time, get your questions, do your home buyer education, kind of formulate some questions that you don't know yet, and ask your loan officers. So just that's our advice.
I would like to add to that. I definitely agree. Even working with our participating members, we still have applicants that may call us and say, well, I'm sorry, they're not answering the phone and things of sort. We want everyone to feel comfortable with who they're speaking with. Of course, we trust our members because we speak with them regularly. That doesn't mean things don't happen, you know, in transition. So definitely, as everyone stated, please shop around. If you do not feel comfortable, especially with our program, with any of our members, contact us personally, because we'll reach out to them to see if we can get our eyes, you know, to see what's going on, why the calls are not being returned, or just based on the conversation with you. So yes, please shop around, contact us personally for anything in regards to our members.
Thank you, Renee, for adding that. And I'll say too, you know, all of us who are HUD certified, so that would include Dallas Habitat, also Regina and her team at Dallas County Home Loan Counseling Center, we have cultivated networks of preferred loan officers, other down payment assistance programs. And so if you're on today's call and you're thinking, okay, I know I need to use the right person, but I'm not sure who that might be, reach out, consider working with a housing counseling agency. Our job is to make sure that we are unbiased and working for you, helping you to find the most affordable product in the market. I do want to shift gears a little bit and talk about something that we had a ton of questions about in the chat box. Gracie, if you don't mind, I might pitch this to you at the beginning, and then panelists, please feel free to add in. I'd like to talk a little bit about the topic of stacking, so to speak, stacking funds, and how buyers can utilize multiple of the programs that we reviewed today in conjunction with one another. Can you speak a little bit to like what it means to stack funds? And then I'd love to maybe we do a show of hands. around the table, who all operates a program that is stackable, so to speak?
Yes, absolutely. Great question. Personal, story, one of my buyers, exactly a year ago, he was able to use two sources of down payment assistance. So when you stack a loan, as long as we have a first and a second lien or even a third lien in place, you're able to stack down payment assistance funds. We have to make sure that the 2 or 3 organizations are okay with the first, second, and third lien in position. Other than that, I don't see any problems with it. I did close a loan for a family who was able to get down payment assistance from TSHAC, and then I was able to find them extra money from the city that they closed in. The city funds, they were totally okay with being in third position for the second lien. So that is absolutely doable.
Okay, quick show of hands for our panelists. If your program or any of the programs that you discussed today are stackable, can be used with another program, will you raise your hand?
I'll stack, Blaine, I'll comment as well. So with the City of Dallas's program, we do allow for stacking of with other DPA programs. However, we are looking at the actual need of the buyer. So we may or may not adjust the amount of assistance that we're going to provide. So that's a possibility there. We do require to be in second lien position when we do stack. And we're also looking at interest rates. We want to make sure that the interest rates are not more than 2% of the current prevailing rates. So we do look at that.
I do want to mention, thank you so much. So we have the City of Dallas, the City of Mesquite. I wasn't able to see, is the City of Plano able to do this, or the City of Irving?
Yes, we do. City of Plano does require a second lien position as well, but we will allow additional assistance.
As for the City of Irving, I'm not sure. I can research and let you guys know.
Okay. And I do want everybody to know that you as a buyer, you don't have to contact all the cities and then find your lender. If you come to your lender should be able to guide you in the right order and say, okay, which city do you want to work, or which city do you want to buy? The lender should be able to then go to the appropriate authority levels for the funds and guide you from there. So let us lenders do the work for you. Let us do the homework for you, because otherwise the process is going to be super, super stressful for you and you're going to get confused. We have so many lingos that we use. So we're able to kind of speak our lending language with the city, in charge of the down payment assistance program. So it is important you start with your lender. And like we had mentioned before earlier, if you don't feel comfortable with your lender, and if you don't feel that the personality is there, or, this or that, like find the lender that you can connect with. That way I want you to have the best experience when buying your house. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Gracie. Just put that in the chat as well, is that it looked like by the show of hands, it was nearly everyone. I know Micah said he's going to double check for us so we can confirm that for you guys. And to Tammy's point, it is going to boil down to need, understanding, we do a lot of education on this on the counseling end. Aretha, and I'm sure Regina as well could speak to this. Really, especially when it comes to second liens, meaning there are requirements, repayment requirements that go into this funding. We want to make sure that you're going into homeownership sustainably in a way that doesn't hold back your ability to generate wealth. This is why so many of us are going into homeownership. And so to Gracie's point, and a lot of what was already mentioned so far today, really before just deciding which programs that you're going to use, have a conversation with a housing counselor or a loan officer. Those are going to be two really great entry points to begin to understand how much do I really need in a program like this, and then which programs might be the best option for me. I do want to ask a quick question. This was a good question I thought that came through the chat earlier. If we have buyers who are DACA recipients, by a show of hands, do any of you all's program offer the opportunity to work. Okay, the statewide programs, Alejandro's program, Miss Tammy's program at the City of Dallas. Okay, so if you're on DACA, those are all really great options. TDHCA, TSHAC, Bank of America, City of Dallas. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone there. Daniel, go ahead. Oh, sorry, you were off of mute. I thought you might have something to say. Okay. Very good. Very good.
I would like to mention something regarding DACA. I do know the program very, very well. So before you could only get a loan through conventional financing. Now you can do DACA and use down payment assistance with an FHA loan. So that I'm really, really excited about.
And you touched on something else that came through the chat that I had saved as well, but just wanted to confirm, we had some questions that came through about the option to utilize down payment assistance programs with non-conventional products, so specifically VA and FHA. So again, just want to call that out for our audience as well. Know that there's some flexibility built into a lot of these programs too. So be thinking about that. Specifically, we had a question come in from a veteran as well. So first of all, thank you for your service. Second of all, yes, definitely dig into some of these programs depending on the location of the home that you're looking to purchase. First and foremost.
I just want to piggyback just real quick. Although we're not, as far as the regulation that everyone's pretty much speaking about, although we're not the primary lender, you can combine. So you can stack, I guess that what you guys were saying, you can combine. You just can't combine with any of our programs. So if it's AHP funds from any other federal home loan bank, you won't be able to combine that. As far as the retention period, it is, again, the 5 years retention period. We really don't mind the position that it's in as long as it's recorded. And with ours, it's as long as you stay there within the 5 years, or if the amount is less than $2,500, $2,500 or less, then we're going to forgive it, even if it's before the 5-year term.
That is fantastic, Renee. I just want to call this out for our attendees. I know, again, sometimes mortgage lingo can go right over our heads, right? But when you hear us talk about second lien position, you heard a lot of our city programs here talk about they're interested in taking the second lien. What that means is if your down payment assistance is structured in a forgivable mortgage that's tacked onto your primary mortgage, which is what you're using to finance the purchase of your house. That means if you're going to utilize additional down payment assistance programs, those programs have to be flexible enough to not require taking the second lien position to your first mortgage. What Renee just pointed out is that the Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas's HELP program is flexible in that way. They will take any lien position. So this is a great option to think about if these are eligible funds that you can utilize and putting towards closing cost assistance, whatever the case might be. And when you talk about a lot of these programs that we discussed today for 5-year forgiveness periods, that is not a lot of time, right? So why not? That would be a great option if that would help offset some of your out-of-pocket costs. On that subject, I would love to pitch our last general question to our housing counselors who are here today, specifically Regina and Aretha. And my question for you all is, can we talk a little bit about how utilizing down payment assistance programs can set buyers up for success as they transition into home ownership? I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on that.
Yes, yes, that is the basic, the foundation, of course, the counseling and the starting of getting mortgage ready. We want the clients to be know their affordability of a mortgage, the budgeting, learn how to keep a budget, because when you go into buying a home, your budget is going to change. So we stay with them in the process of home buying. We also have a financial literacy class that we offer virtually because we want them to be able to sustain their home, because it is going to be different. The cost will be different. The maintaining will be different. So yes, that's very, very important. And we stay with them as long as they want to, and they can always come back a year later, 6 months later, and We can rework it, revamp it, whatever the need is.
Thanks, Regina.
I can just say down payment assistance programs, again, the overall goal is just to help make that home more affordable for the buyer. And if that buyer is doing their due diligence, like any good housing counselor is going to tell them, if they're saving their money, that's less money that they got to pull out of their savings, when they're getting that government assistance, that DPA. So of course, it's going to help you because you have extra money when you actually move into this home to be able to, make it your own, to decorate the way you want without putting all that money on credit cards and, getting in some trouble, because you can get into a little trouble because you want to make that house, real pretty, just the way you would like for it to be. So again, down payment assistance is out there. You all, and your housing counselor is going to guide you in the right direction so you don't have to use all the money that you've worked hard to save and go utilize this free money that's out there. Okay.
Aretha, you hit the nail on the head for me. Absolutely. I mean, that's really what it's about, right? Is making sure that we've got that emergency fund saved for all of the financial responsibilities that come with homeownership that are just inevitably part of the process and are our financial obligation on day one of owning a home. So thank you so much for hitting on that. I know you'll hear our counselors talk about pay yourself first all day long. That is our mantra. Very good. I see a ton of questions that are in the Q&A. I want to tell our attendees, although we would love to stay on for an hour longer and answer all the questions. We are limited, of course, in our program today, but I will say our team will stick behind and answer as many of those in the Q&A and chat that we can get through. A couple of things I do want to say. First of all, thank you to all of our presenters who are here today. You all have made time on your Saturday to join us. We are incredibly grateful for everything, not only that you've done today, but everything that you all do on a daily basis to support buyers in our community in making homeownership more affordable. Thank you all so much for being here. We're so thankful for you guys. To our attendees, I want to say, I hope that you all are walking away from today's program with some gems on how we are going to take the first step on this journey of home ownership. I hope that you're walking away from today's event feeling like you are counting yourself in, that this is something that you see yourself and visualize yourself being able to do. If you are not sure where to start with housing counseling. It is a fantastic first step to build that foundation and make sure you have access to the resources and the support that you need in the home buying process. We at Dallas Habitat are thankful that you have trusted us and chosen us to come and learn about all of this information. And we're just grateful for the opportunity to convene our partners in the community and showcase the phenomenal products that they have in the marketplace. We are just getting started this spring, y'all. Dallas Habitat has a very busy spring and summer lined up with tons of community events. We would love to see you at those events in the future as well. So we hope that you stay in contact. Last and certainly not least, we want to remind you that everything that we presented today has been recorded. It will be available for you to view on demand. If you know somebody that did not tune in live but should have been here today, send them the link for the recording. It is available to all for viewing. And if you did not register, so important here, if you did not register for today's session, but you joined us this morning just using the Zoom link that you got in the email, please be sure to reach out to us, privately message us with your direct email address. We will make sure that you are on our email list and you get the recording and all of the presentation information that we covered today. So just a snippet of what's to come. I want to thank you all so much for being here. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hopefully we will hear from you all starting on Monday. Thank you all so much.